All right, ladies and gents, welcome back to the Russian Cyber Games, the 2021 edition. We've just wrapped up Group A and we're about to jump into Group B. We've got that set up without too much hustle. I'm Zig, I'm here with Curiosity. Alex, who do you think is going to make out of Group B? We have Dewalt, Babo, Shiki, and GRIMEBOSS, aka Casper. The first matches being Dewalt versus Babo and Shiki versus Casper. Your favorites for this group?
It's gotta be clear number 1 Dewalt and then clear number 2 Zziky from this group.
Agree, 100%. Although, you know, Shiki, he's somebody you expect a lot more out of, as opposed to like what he's shown in tournaments. He hasn't quite lived up to the hype. He hasn't quite lived up to the expectations that everyone has built up around him, in that he doesn't necessarily show up in tournaments the way you'd expect him to, right?
For a long time, this was before Remastered, maybe, I don't know, 1 or 2 years before Remastered, when Zziky stopped playing. Zziky was the best foreigner by far. There was no one on his level for a very long time. He would just win most tournaments, uncontested, go head-to-head with even Scan. But this was a very long time ago, maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago, and people have improved since then. A lot of improvement in the foreign scene, and we have strong players like Dewalt and Bonif who are higher level than Zziky was then. It was just that the rest of the scene, I would say, was at a collectively much weaker state than it is now. So even though Zziky's not the top foreigner anymore, he's still someone who has to be considered in maybe the top 6 or 8.
Yeah, he's definitely been one of the best foreigners we ever had on the scene. But yeah, he's been around for donkey's years, seriously, for a really long time. And even still, we only have like one pixelated picture of him from like 15 years ago or something. So this is actually the first time. This is the first time actually learning what his actual name is. But putting that aside, he hasn't quite come back to the level he was before, before Remastered came out, before Bonif took over as the best foreigner. And, he's got a lot to prove. But again, I don't think getting out of this group is going to be too difficult a challenge for him. I genuinely think that I agree with the sentiment that Dewalt and Shiki should make it out of this group without too much hassle.
Yeah, man, I gotta add something. I think Dewalt, despite, BSO, he's never actually won BSO, and he went out pretty early in the last one. I think Dewalt is at a higher level than any other foreigner right now, including Bonif.
You think?
I think so.
Wow.
Now, head-to-head, I actually think Bonif would probably be slightly favored against Dewalt, but I just think Dewalt is less likely to lose in the earlier stages of a tournament than Bonif is. I think he just does better against everyone. And I'm basing this mostly off the fact that in show matches here and there, Dewalt actually shows just a higher level than what I've seen from Bonif recently. Dewalt crushes everyone. Other than Bonif, of course. And will this be
the case? Isn't that the case for Bonif as well? Is that there's
not
like
anymore.
3 people at the top who somewhat struggle against one another, and then anyone else is just the skill chasm is so deep that you can't really compare them.
Not anymore. I think it's Bonif has lost series recently where maybe 1 year ago or 18 months ago he just was on top of the scene. He would win every tournament, and he wouldn't even lose. Say it was a best of 5, it would never get to 5th game. He would just win 3-0, 3-1. But he has lost against Dandy, he has lost against Terror, and he's also lost against Dandy in a smaller show match where it was a best of 9. Dandy won that as well. But Dewalt just doesn't lose to anyone. He played in the best of best tour, which I'm not placing a ton of emphasis on, but the fact Dewalt won, I think it was 41-4 against top foreigners, not including Bonif, because he lost his match against Bonif 2-3. But 41-4, and the players on that are players like Ziki, True Touch, Dandy, Koget, Oya, and Dragon, I think. And just going that wall against that type of player shows that I think Dewalt is just at a higher level. Unfortunately, we haven't actually seen it in BSL because he gets eliminated every now and then in an early stage, but I think he is probably the favorite for this. Of course, he did win the last RCG.
Yeah. Well, you know, it does paint a really interesting picture with those stats that you brought up. I'd be really curious to see how a team of foreigners, like the best of the best foreigners, pair up against a team of Koreans, not in like best of 3, best of 5 situations like in an ASL, but like an ASDL. If we manage to get like Dewalt, Bonith, Terra, and well, maybe not Terra, considering his result now, but after the last BSL, definitely. But if you could get like 4 or 5 of the best foreigners and put them up against a team of Koreans in best of ones, how that would pan out. Now, obviously, the Koreans would still be favored, but I think that might be a slight chance of the foreigners picking up a few cheeky wins here and there. But yeah, Dewalt and Bonith are definitely the favorites to win this whole affair. And we're just about ready to jump into game number 1 here. Dewalt against Babo, game number 1 of Group B.
All right, we have the map. What map is this? Talcross. And in the left side spawn, we have the red Protoss Dewalt.
And his opponent in the top right has the blue Zerg. He is Babo.
All right, so if I'm correct, Dewalt was basically already seeded into this tournament, and Babo got in with the last qualifier in South America.
No, he got through the world qualifying.
Okay, that's true. Ghost with Dark got in.
He beat me 1-2.
Yeah, Ghost with Dark got in.
Yeah.
And so here we go. Babo, as far as his skill level, it's decent, but I'm a little bit surprised he's actually in this tournament. It's probably because a couple of the top players aren't participating, but Babo's still a decently high level Zerg. Best matchup, definitely ZVZ though.
Well, I can't speak to that sentiment, but I'll take your word for it. This is actually, I think, that the most balanced race distribution we've had in the RCG, by the way, you know, as a side note. 5 Protoss, 5 Zerg, 6 Terran. Obviously, one race will have one more representative in the most balanced situation. But, you know, just throwing it out there.
All right, so it's a 9 pull from Babo, and Dewalt gets that first scout. He's going to go for Nexus after cannons here. But this is going to be a nice wall. You can see nothing can actually get under that forge. And let's see if Babo just goes for 6 lings. It's most likely he will.
So again, we have a forge opening in the PVZ, whereas lately I would put money on everyone just going gateway expansion. It seems like the more common way to go about it. That clearly pays off in this situation again, as Dewalt will have to deal with these incoming lings. A really nice pylon block there to deny or to delay the expansion from Babo.
Yeah, for those of you that don't know, those pylons at the choke don't keep out links, but they do keep out workers. So the fact that he made that meant that Babo's expansion is going to be that much later, and he had to focus the links on it.
Yes, the drone is too chunky to slip through.
And I mean, am I seeing this correctly? Did he cancel 1 cannon? Yeah, he actually did cancel 1 cannon. And 6 slings will kill the cannon, but because he delayed the links for so long, I think he'll just have he'll be able to block with a couple of probes in case Babo decides to move out.
See, this is what separates the wheat from the chaff. Like, you know there's 6 lings coming, so you not naturally throw down 2 cannons. Then he knows it exactly. He knows it so well. He knows the timing so incredibly well that he says, all right, I don't actually need the 2nd cannon. I can still hold it off just barely if he were to attack, because the lings got delayed by like, what, 10 seconds? really interesting to watch how some of these top players min-max in their games, because you would think it's not very consequential, right? Getting that cannon, canceling it, well, it's 75 million, something like that. I don't know the math. But
yeah, I think it's a quarter, so it's like a quarter of 150, which is 42.
127, I don't know.
43.
I'm not good at math.
But the key here is that, I mean, Babo has been slowed down. On top of his 9 pool, his hatchery was delayed, and Dewalt did cancel 2 buildings, but that you take that trade off every single time. Just a couple of things I want to add. Dewalt, I actually saw he played in a couple of show matches against Koreans. One was against Hyuk, Korean Zerg player, and Dewalt, while he did lose both series, they actually both were 4-5. So a pretty impressive showing nonetheless.
Yeah, I think he played a lot of series against Stork or something. I saw Rustbrain posting like a replay pack of Dewalt playing against Koreans. 'Cause I think Dewalt lives like in the far east of Russia, which makes it much easier for him to actually run into Koreans on ladder. But see, this is what I was talking about, getting the best of the foreign scene and putting them up against Koreans in shorter series, like best of ones, best of threes, maybe best of threes, but still, you know, this is where you maximize the chances of an underdog, and it would be really interesting to see.
I don't really remember the name of the event, but it was kind of like what you're saying, and it was all best of ones, winner stays, and I think the Koreans went like 36-1 with Bonif beating it was either an 8 racks or a BBS in PVT, but every other match was pretty convincing win for the Koreans. But again, these were the best Koreans. This is action. These weren't low-level amateurs. These were the very, very best. Okay, we have Babo going for the 3-hatch Hydra. You can see how Dewalt positioned these cannons. These are going to be very, very hard to snipe without Hydra range. And it's actually awkward for Babo to kill them, so he has to go for the wall first, and this gives Dewalt enough time to get additional cannons up.
What was this build called? 873 or 973?
It's 973.
973, okay.
Right, so we have 7, we have 4 here, and we have a 4th hatch. So this is just going to transition. It's important for Dewalt here to see what comes out of these eggs. If it's Hydras, he's going to make more cannons. If it's drones, then he can cut down on the cannons and just tech up as normal. One Corsair is actually going to kill this Overlord, and he will see 3 drones pop out, and that's actually pretty important there. And instantly, you see, instant reaction just cancels those cannons.
Yeah. See, that's why the Stargate plays this, you know, important role in PvZ, because you don't really have any other ways of scouting your opponent. So even though you're not actually making more and more fighting units, you get that one Corsair to confirm what your opponent is doing.
And Dewalt is following us up with a fast Robo, and this is interesting. Now he's gonna have Templar tech, but he doesn't actually have any high Templars because his gateway died right away. So there's still a timing here for Babo to hit, where he can get enough Hydras before Storm that they can bust down the cannons.
Certainly a possibility.
Yeah, Dewalt has to be aware of that, because you can see he did cancel all his cannons, and his Corsair is no longer scouting. But he's actually managed to kill an Overlord, and this hurts the Zerg. He's going to be forced to make Overlords, and he's got to be careful with the Corsairs.
Hang on, he's gone for his second Corsair, which is, I'm not sure I understand. Do you know what the reasoning there is? Because he knows there is no Spire, and he used it to scout that there was a 4th hatchery being built at the 3rd when Babo was going clearly for Hydralisks, and he's not making any more.
And here we go. Babo's build is actually okay. He's gonna go for the bust. He's gonna go for the bust before Storm is done. It's only 4 cannons. Looks like a 5th one is being added. Nice probe drill. This is actually very important. Without these probes, the Hydras would be on top of these cannons right away. And Dewalt knows he can lose probes here. Look at the work count. He has a big advantage with the 2 Nexus pumping. High Templar being targeted, gets pulled back, and it has enough energy now for a Stormman with this DT out. Okay, he's perfectly fine. Dewalt actually. This is what I'm talking about. This is a little bit risky to go for a Robo right away like this. He's actually cutting into his High Templar production to get DTs out. He's going to have the ability to harass. And if Babo really just goes all out and commits the attack, he's going to have nothing back at home.
Yeah, 35 workers to the 26 of the Zerg, so obviously could afford to lose a couple of probes there just to stay alive. And now let's see what the defense looks like in the main base. We do have a few swipey boys stashed away inside that shuttle, two invisible men. Are there any overlords in the main?
No, he will have speed out soon, but he just doesn't have any detection in the main. And Babo has 6 hatcheries, but he doesn't actually have that many drones here. And 1 DT in the main, 1 DT in the net. This is perfect. Gonna fully distract Babo as much as possible. Gonna make it hard for him to defend. 4 in the main, or 4 in the natural go down, and 3 in the main. That's 7 drones more that he's lost.
Shanking away at the spawning pool. Maybe not the best decision, but he's invisible. He can do whatever he wants. All right, we've got our 5th hatchery in the natural. Do we have a 6th one at the 3rd? I'm not sure. Yes, we do have one building, so that is the number you're going for.
Oh man, DT wrapping around, getting a couple more swipes. And this is a DT that was caught and cornered, and it somehow manages to escape. And it's going to get 3, possibly 4 more drones. Now we have a storm drop following this up. I mean, not a ton of drones here to storm, but getting 3, 4, 5 drones every drone. This is, the damage is stacking up here, and Dewalt behind this, he's gonna pump out a ton of units. He knows he's in a commanding position. Do we actually have enough for a second? Oh, that was massive.
Oh, that must have hurt. 44 workers to 27. Oh, he's got to be cheesed off about that. A loss of workers going down there for Babo. Oh, this is looking rough. So what, are we setting up for a strong timing here for Dewalt? Looks like it. We've got a massive... Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, he's not even going to wait for Dragoons. He knows he has an advantage here with all the drones he forced Babo to make. So this is the opportune time to move out. And look, more drones. Actually, I think Babo over-droned here. He didn't calculate his drone loss as well, and he's going to face a timing now. And no storm, so even just the threat of the storm is doing economic damage there.
It's also worth mentioning how much time he lost, how much mining time he lost. Like those drones, see, they're still running and not actually harvesting resources as they should be. A good storm going down on top of these hydras, and it looks like there's not enough army for Babo to actually hold off. We have another drop in the main base, but it looks like there might not be enough drones to actually kill for Dewalt with that storm. There's no way of holding off this attack at the 3rd. The drones are getting evacuated.
I mean, Archon Morph, there was a sunken accent being made to defend. And looks like Babo is trading here, but trading is not what you want to be doing here. You want to clean this up. And reinforcements from Dewalt will be enough to push through here. And again, more running drones that aren't mining. And the shuttle is empty, but it did enough damage. It got the DT drop and then several storm drops, and you see Dewalt just reinforcing, running zealots across the map. Even without storm, he's just going to have too much here.
Yeah, the first DT drop really threw a wrench in the works here for Babo, who lost control of the game. Like every single attack that came after that was a direct consequence of him not answering the, not responding to the DT drop correctly. He just lost the initiative and kept getting pulled around by the various attacks from Dewalt. He's now going for a 3rd at the 12 o'clock, and it's just looking more and more likely that the Russian player is going to secure this first map in the series with another Zealot attack. I mean, Babo is slowly but surely stabilizing, but he might have already taken too much damage for him to actually have any chance of surviving here.
Yeah, he doesn't have any other tech, just Hydras without upgrades here. Another storm drop. I mean, the potential to storm drop when there's no Scourge, no Spire, is just too high here. And even if Babo can hold the attacks economically, he's just falling further and further behind.
Yeah, getting pulled apart by these attacks. Hardly anything left here. 45 workers to 22. He's still running those drones around, trying to find a good mineral line to harvest minerals from. But this is... He's got a 3rd. Dewalt has a 3rd, and he's still trying to harass with these High Templar stashed away inside a shuttle.
No evolution chamber for Babo. Dewalt about to finish 1-1 for his ground army, and The shuttle's still alive. This shuttle can come back and harass at any moment. He should probably actually keep these High Templars for the Dragoon push now.
I mean, at this point, he can do whatever he likes, honestly. Because Babo, not only is his economy half as good as that of Dewalt, like literally 58 probes to 25 drones, right? He's stuck on a very bog basic composition, meaning he's only got one type of unit, that being, you know, the Hydra. And,
and
he's got no access to
upgrades.
lurkers. Yeah, no upgrades.
Dewalt is at 1-1, 2-1, about to finish, and he does have double forge, and Hydras just don't scale against this kind of composition with these kind of upgrades, and he would basically need double the amount of Hydras at this point to hold on against this incoming push.
I mean, let's play devil's advocate here and say that, well, maybe Dewalt's army isn't likewise as complex as it maybe should be, because he's only got like Dragoons and a few High Templar. So let's say Babo, like the Storms get whiffed, there aren't any Zealots to actually tank for the Dragoons. They're actually quite fragile as a unit, right? And obviously he's adding those Zealots now, but I was trying to make a case for him.
Yeah, Babo did get sent to this shuttle, and he's positioning units outside of this third to defend that area. But I think even if the wall had no storms, he would be able to win with just pure Dragoon Zealot. That's how much of an advantage he has here.
What are the upgrades on the Protoss? Does he have +2 attack or just 1-1? Yeah, 2-1. Okay.
Yeah, so 2-1 against no upgrade Hydras, and the shuttle
about
is going to get picked off, so it's small. Okay, it looks like the Walt's reaction instant.
Yeah, 2-1 Protoss against no upgrades on the Zerg. She's going to go about as well as you would expect. We've got this.
Storms the Overlord because, I mean,
why not? All right, we've got a massive move out from Dewalt. Looks like Babo will try to meet him in the middle of the map, but again, 145 supply to 74, with likewise a massive lead in workers. And again, a very basic composition, just Hydras.
If this were +1 or +2 Hydras with a couple of lurkers to support, maybe he could hold this off. But you can see the Dragoons just aren't dying, and he's punching through with these Zealots. He has enough storm to back this up, and 2 Dragoons have died. Meanwhile, about 3 control groups of Hydras have gone down, and he's just able to storm the incoming reinforcements, and he's just pushing through. This base is dead, and with that, Babo should be typing out pretty soon.
Yeah. Delivering, the punishment there, delivering the pain was Dewalt. Game number 1 on Taucross as the favorite, the unanimously agreed upon favorite of the entire tournament. Dewalt picks up game number 1 of Group B against Babo.
Yeah, I think just too much of an advantage after that failed Hydra bust, I think. Nice pro pull from Dewalt, just instantly bugging out those Hydras. They couldn't actually get 2 of the cannons. And then that DT drop, got 7 drones, followed up with a High Templar drop, and it just snowballed out of control.
Yeah, I'm not a PvZ expert, but I really don't think that the Hydra push was what killed him. It was the first DT drop that really allowed Dewalt to snowball. Because it opened up like so many more possibilities for harassment later on with High Templar and Zealot run-bys. Because like Babo had the 4th, right? He had the 4th hat tree, so it's not like his production was weak. His eco was still decent because he was adding drones.
His drone count was actually very low even before the DT drop, so it was like, yeah, the economic damage that Dewalt did added to the fact that Dewalt already had an economic advantage.
All right, maybe there's something to it. So Dewalt leading in the series. We're just about ready to jump into game number 2, I think. If we could just confirm what map it is. It's going to be on Circuit Breakers. So let's get that replay loaded up. Again, the maps, I mean, we're casting from replays, but the games were played like 15-20 minutes ago or so. Just, so as not to make it uncomfortable for players in case any lag issues were to arise. So game number 2, Dewalt against Babo. Let's get that loaded up.
All right, in the bottom right spawn, we have Babo as the Blue Zerg.
And his opponent spawning as the white Protoss in the bottom left, currently leading in the series 1-0, our Russian representative and the reigning RCG champion, he is Dewalt. And once again, we have that quick probe to put a pylon in the natural. Is this going to be another Forge Fast Expand? I think it is with the quick scout, right?
Yeah, and now is he gonna go to 3 o'clock, or is he actually gonna go check another main? Looks like he is just gonna go for the other main. Sometimes Zergs, they don't scout vertically on this map. And Babo gonna go for another 9 pool, and again gonna get scouted right away. So a little bit unfortunate there for Babo.
Yeah, this is like this is a very straightforward game for Dewalt once again. He knows that this is a 9 pool, so he's going to throw down 1 or 2 cannons, depending on whether those links do get delayed by something or not. We'll see if he actually plants down a pylon in the natural to maybe try and delay the hatchery of his opponent by, even a little bit. But I would suspect him not really to do that anymore, at the very least. Or maybe still, I don't know.
Right, Forge goes down, and he's being annoying with this probe. Overlord about to pop. Should expect 6, maybe 8 lings here. And Dewalt probably gonna go and delay that natural as well. He's gonna get 2 cannons down because Forge finishes, should see 2 cannons. And now Babo knows where Dewalt is, so he can send those lings right away. Basically, if you start the cannons as the lings pop, the cannons will finish in time. Of course, that is based on the fact that the rush distance on the maps are basically usually the same. Sometimes you got a little bit shorter, and that won't apply. But again, lings being delayed by the pylon. And here we go.
Right, so is this going to be another straightforward PvZ for Dewalt, in that he's going to go for a Stargate into Citadel, into Templar Archives, or are we expecting something else from our Russian player?
I think he'll just play safe and standard here. Now Babo going for 3 hatch again. He did take his 3rd first just because he was what do you say? He was denied as natural by that pylon. Probe is actually is that the same probe? Yeah, it is.
Yes.
Probe is actually still alive even against 6 links, so this is pretty impressive.
Yup. Well, still, it's not an 8-link commitment, so could be worse for Pabo, I suppose. So what is the follow-up for the Zerg? Are we once again expecting some kind of Hydra play, one of those 973 builds, maybe the 9734? Or is this going to... is there a Spire on the cards or not really?
He could still go for Lair here, no problem. Man, that probe is still alive. He's gonna see the 3rd as well. And again, Babo's gas count. It is going towards 100. And there it all goes away. So he did go for Lair. Meanwhile, Dewalt's cybernetics core timing is slightly faster than the Lair. This is all totally normal. But this was a 9 pull that didn't really do much. It didn't even kill the scouting probe, so not ideal.
Is this the same situation that Greenwich and Boa found themselves in on this map, where Boa definitely went for a Forge Fast Expand, but I can't remember if Greenwich went for a 9 pull. But we did have that really quick 3rd, though it was a mineral only, if you remember. This time, though, the Zerg going for the 3 o'clock, which also gives him access to another gas.
And here's a 2 Zealot move out. Babo really needed vision to see this move out come, so you can make the sufficient amount of links. You basically want 4 slow links per Zealot and 3 speed links per Zealot to trade efficiently against this kind of harass. You're going straight towards the 3rd, where it's farther from where the links are. Dewalt has full vision of everything, of course, with the scouting probe still alive. And this speed is actually a little bit late. First drone goes down. This is already a ton of damage. And even if he doesn't get any more drones, just the fact that he forced a pull, he's going to trade it efficiently here. And probe is still alive. He wants to get into that main to confirm what he suspects already. Because these links don't have speed. Maybe he's a little bit concerned that this could still be Hydras, but I doubt it. from Dewalt. He's a seasoned enough player. You see that third cannon going down? That's because he doesn't see speed.
All right. So, question is what if he saw that speed? Would he also go for that third or
no?
Third cannon?
No, I'm pretty sure he's gonna cancel that third cannon now. Because when you don't see speed, that would indicate Hydra. Okay, cancel it right away.
Okay.
When you don't see speed, you're thinking, okay, it's Hydras. Why don't they have speed? But it was just delayed speed because his economy wasn't great. And I mean, Dewalt is very, very ahead from just small things that are adding up. He is going to lose the Zealot unnecessarily, but he already lost those initial 2 or 3 to do some economic damage. So the 1-1 timing with the +1 Zealots wasn't likely to get much done. So it's not a big deal.
Isn't there some kind of link flood you could go for with speed? Where
yeah, but
third cannon would be useful.
Yes, but it's pretty easy to block the wall with just probes. And
okay.
Is that a second gateway at the natural from Dewalt? Okay, nice. So Dewalt safe and secure, getting cannons, getting additional Corsairs, and I mean Babo is really, really on the back foot. It's 7 minutes, and normally at 7 minutes you're producing your 6th and 8th Hydras, something like that, so you can defend the incoming push. But Babo's Hydra done, not even done here. He's gonna open with mutas, I'm pretty sure. So, okay, yeah.
Is the Cybercore spinning? Is he getting +1 attack? Or... okay. That makes sense. So are we expecting him to make like 5-6 Corsairs, or are we getting more?
Yeah, if you're getting +1, you're gonna get at least 5, probably 6 Corsairs, and this is gonna be perfect because Babo is opening mutas. Now, it's probably a response to what he's seen because I mean Babo's everything was so late. There's no way for him to defend with Hydras, but if Dewalt has ever played Babo before, he should know Babo likes mutas a lot in this matchup. Babo's the type of player to open mutas and then switch into Hydras very quickly, or to open Hydras and then switch to mutas and then more Hydras. That's his style of ZVP. So I don't know if he's playing the player or if he was going to do this based on the scouting information, but you can see, okay, he's making more Corsairs. This is out of the norm. He's even getting an Archon here, so he definitely suspects mutas, and the fact that he saw that third gas was a huge tell with that DT. This is going to be mass mutas, at least to start off. You don't really need a third gas to...
All right, so that means Babo is in for a rude awakening when he moves across the map with those flying shrimp, as there's 7 Corsairs already out on the map, +1 about halfway done. Question is it going to be done by the time Babo moves out with +1 armor? Yeah.
And here you go. Babo is gathering up a significant amount of mutas. Dewalt is not really gonna... he's in no rush to move up. He has 6 gateways. He has the Stargate still producing. He wants to get critical mass and then support his Corsairs with a large ground army. And Babo, he only has mutas. He doesn't have any other units. And mutas and Sunkens do terrible against Zealot Archon if they can't sim city effectively. And these walls are not great. You're going to see Zealots just stream right through.
I mean, he's got a lot of Scourge. If he manages to snipe the Corsairs, there's still a chance that the Mutalisks deal with the lone Archon. Oh, that's no, they're 2 clumped up. Not one more. No.
Mutas do have more range, but that is not how you engage an Archon with mutas. You either just spread them out quickly so they can get us around and minimize the splash, or you can micro against it. But now these mutas are too bruised up to actually risk going for it. And I mean, Dewalt's playing cautiously, but he can A-move with his ground army across the map, and then all he has to do is control his Corsairs. But this is a lot of Scourge. A lot of Scourge.
Yeah, StarCraft 1 mutas don't heal as quickly as StarCraft 2 mutas. So unfortunately, they've taken a lot of damage. They're all in the red, in the purple even. So bruised up. This is painful to look at. Got more and more Corsairs joining the fray, so Dewalt really isn't taking this lightly.
He even has 2 cannons in the main. Corsairs are getting attacked by the Scourge. You can see Dewalt's having a tough time engaging the Scourge. The Archon isn't here to support. So I'm not really sure what happened there, but it looks like almost all the Scourge have not connected, and Dewalt just keeping his Corsairs moving non-stop. I think he maybe lost one, if 0 Corsairs even.
No, he must have lost one at least. This is brutal. 124 supply to 70 on the side of Babo. And it looks like Dewalt is gearing up for one more attack with his entire army. There's hardly any defense left in the natural. More and more mutas popping. But that isn't going to be enough to stop the onslaught of Protoss. He's also got Storm with that army now. +1 attack on the Corsairs. One Archon and a mass amount of Zealots now marching across the map, knocking on the door.
Yeah, you would need something like 6 Sunkens to hold this off. And he's just going to go through, even without speed. Yeah. I mean, look at these slow, let's just march on forward. You just can't even engage against Storm and Corsairs. Basically, useless units at this point. Just all get shredded instantly. You can see the Zealots, slow Zealots even, killing everything Babo had at the natural.
So that series went just about as we expected. Dewalt taking the quick 2-0 over Babo. The reigning RCG champion really showing up in full force, taking that series. And we're just about ready to jump into game number 2. Oh, sorry, series number 2, which is going to be Shiki versus Casper. No surprise there, right? Dewalt against Babo.
No, not at all. Games went about as expected. Just early advantage for Dewalt, turning into quick mid-game victories.
Yeah. Well, things so far going as expected, which isn't something we could have said about Group A. By the way, quite a lot of upsets there. So it's good that, we're still grounded in reality here and Dewalt didn't lose to Babo. And we'll see if Shiki, likewise the favorite here, manages to defeat GRIMEBOSS, aka Casper, in the next series. Just waiting for confirmation from Zero that everything has been loaded up and we're ready to jump into this replay. So again, here's a quick overview of Group B. And a reminder that Group C and Group D will be coming up tomorrow at the same time. And we're just about ready to jump into game number 1 of this next series.
All right, in the bottom left, we have Sziky as the blue Zerg.
And his opponent in the top right-hand corner as the red Terran representing Russia. He's Casper, aka GRIMEBOSS.
I expect this to be a little bit closer than the previous match because Casper does very volatile strategies, especially in this matchup. But that being said, I think Sziky is just a superior player.
Yeah, I don't think somebody like Sziky leaves too much room for upsets. Like, he's got every aspect of the game covered, and that pulling a quick one on him is going to be a tall order, no matter who you are. So I'm not sure. I genuinely don't think it's going to be as close as you might think. But, I mean, we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully it is. I'm not about these pub stomps, these one-sided games. Anytime we get one of those closer series, they're definitely a pleasure to watch.
Right, so very fast scout from Sziky, not risking anything. Again, it's Casper. Even if you scout this quickly, you are losing a little bit in terms of economy, but you're getting that safety in mind, and you can just follow up with whatever build you want. With a slightly delayed 12 hatch, you're not risking losing to something like a BBS or Barracks BSB, something like that. And Sziky, the superior player, is the one who should be playing safe.
Yeah, I can't attest to whether he actually does it all the time, but when I do run into him on ladder, he definitely scouts against me for obvious reasons. But yeah, as you pointed out, really prudent of him to make sure that his opponent isn't trying something dodgy, isn't doing something dodgy, perhaps on the other side of the map. Oh, he's even going to steal the gas now. He's just going to heal the drone. Okay.
But I'm a little bit curious about that. Oh, he can actually get this SCV. No. Why do drones heal to full HP when you make an extractor?
Because it's StarCraft. It's a feature, not a bug. I mean,
Well, for example, if you were to make a creep colony or I don't know, a hydrogen and cancel it, I don't think that applies. I think it's only with the extractor.
That is a good point. I'm not sure, actually. I don't know. We'll have to get a Zerg expert in to try and rationalize these game design choices by Blizzard from 20 years ago. But all right, what do we expect from Sziky? Muters, right? We're expecting muters.
2H muter for sure. For a very long time, Sziky's Muta and link control were just unparalleled, just very high. And this is, wait, 6 links? This might be 6 links. Yeah, and he's gonna hide the fact that he made 2 more anti-natural. Bunker instantly from casper. This is actually pretty wise. He hasn't been on top of all the production, so he doesn't know how many links there are. And is it gonna be in time? He's not blocking the choke with an SCV, which is something you see a lot. It looks like Sziky, the bunker is going to finish just in time. This could actually be a quick game because we see Casper is following up with a factory. And he's losing 1 Marine. This is really painful. He's not actually making any kind of wall with depots at his natural. This is very exposed natural here.
Do you want to try and slip past with these lings or?
Not without speed.
He's not making any more, is he? He's only got these 4. Yeah, it doesn't seem like it. Okay.
So he's just going to go into 2H Muta. Not going to flood in with mass links, true touch style. Just, he already got 1 Marine and an SCV. SCV speed is about to finish, I should say. And just playing standard here. What is Casper actually doing? Because he's going to go into Valkyries.
Yeah, a very interesting way of dealing with muters, going for those Valkyries. Let's see if his micro is on point.
Okay, finding a vulnerability here at the natural, just slightly expose those SCVs at the bottom side of the mineral patches. Vulture gets out, but he's gotta be careful. Okay. Can he micro? It's pretty hard to micro against B-Lings with those. Okay, he dies. But low ground against high ground links, I mean, he got caught off guard there. He just didn't realize they were there. Third going down for Sziky at the top left. And this is a standard game from Sziky. Casper, I mean, I don't think he's going to have a tough time with the mutas if he can just get his Valkyrie, basically not get his Valkyrie skirts.
Yeah, but this is a very defensive setup from the Terran player. It's not like he's going to be able to actually move out across the map to try and deal damage. Maybe at the 3rd. It's like his 2nd barracks is late. It's not like his upgrades are going to be there. This is just a very defensive setup from Casper, which, you know, Shiki is definitely going to try and exploit with that 3rd in the top left. He's going for a 4th hatchery as well. And I would just expect him to drone up and take advantage again of the fact that his opponent is investing very heavily in a setup that doesn't have as much counter potential.
He even has Scourge. This could still be 1-1-1 with vessels. It could just be Valkyries though. And he's going to see the Valkyrie right now, right away. And I'm interested to see how he follows this up. Is he going to go for +1 carapace? How fast he switches into lurkers? Looks like it's +1 weapons and then a hydrogen. This is pretty interesting. It really comes down to control. Like, Valkyries are very strong, but they're also very clunky units. They can get scourged because they can't move while they're firing.
Yeah, the Valkyrie micro is really difficult to perform. I've never actually got it.
I don't even understand how you do it. Like,
it's
I've
like
seen
a reverse patrol micro. But
but what is that? How does that actually? How do you actually execute? What do your hands do?
Well,
because
he doesn't, because he loses the first one, and the second one is still to ball as well. So clearly, that's not the easiest thing to do. The Valkyrie micro, as he loses both of them.
Yeah, just getting. I mean, this is an opening here, and then not controlling Valkyries, and 7 mutas enough to one-shot SCVs. You see the micro from Ziki is just at another level. Now Marines coming in, but they don't have brains, they don't have stim, they don't have medic support. This is a ton of damage.
Yeah, this could just be game over because he's found an opening, he's created an opening, and he's going to constantly abuse it with these mutas. Now we do have another Valkyrie popping out, but he doesn't even need to kill it. He's just made like 8 extra drones that are being sent towards the top left. It's 35 drones against 30 SCVs. The Zerg is in the lead. Okay? That doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, he's making more mutas, more Scourge, and he's switching into Lurkers. By the time Casper is ready to move out, I think he's going to have Lurkers at his high ground. Stim is done, first medic is out, and we see he's getting range for his Marines, +1 as well, a tank even, and more Valkyries, but just he's been slowed down so much already.
Yeah. And that was without +1 even on those mutas. Now they're going to be extra scary. And we do have that switch into Lurkers, as you said. We've got a Queen's Nest on the way, so that hive is sure to follow as well very shortly. And then from there, it's, that
another Valkyrie goes down.
Wow. This isn't looking good for Casper.
Double evolution chamber. Ziki is confident enough to throw down 2 evolution chambers against Terran. Not something you see.
He just has him pinned down on the other side of the map, constantly harassing with these mutas, really finding that opening and getting the most out of it. Like, he killed 4 Valkyries this game. Was it 3? Something like that. Still, that is a lot of Valkyries to lose as the Terran player. And again, he's still got that worker lead, 35-32.
Yeah, and Casper's pinned in his base. He's making all these tanks, which are good against Lurkers, but not very good against mutas. Not very good against what's going to come up, which is probably going to be a straight into Ultra list. I wouldn't be surprised. And I hope those are not hold position Lurkers for Casper, because if he moves out through that choke, he's going to eat all spines.
Yep. Well, I think he's going to be a little more careful because those tanks don't fit there, and he doesn't really want to leave them unprotected, lest the mutas do come in.
5th hatchery going down for Ziki. Hive done. I mean, what is Casper going to do? He's on a timer, but he doesn't really have that strong of an army. Looks like he's going to try to push out slowly with what looks like to be 2 Valkyries, 4 tanks, and about a control group and a half of Marines. Here we have, looks like hold position Lurkers. Got to be very careful. No pre-scan from Casper.
Yeah, there's a chance for some juicy spine collections.
Oh my god. Oh.
All right. Well,
all right, so there's that push and already thwarted. He lost. Looks like a control group of Marines there. And Ziki even going to retreat to make Casper waste that scan and position those Lurkers elsewhere. And look at how much army he has.
Yeah, this was just Shiki through and through this game. There's hardly anything that GRIMEBOSS could do to come back in this game. There's so many Lurkers and mutas still out on the field. Now even losing Marines to tank splash. And this is just too much. This is too much, sir.
Yeah, now he's gonna get pushed back to his natural, and no options there for Casper. Doesn't type out the GG. No surprise there, and no surprise that Ziki won game 1.
Yeah, so we do have another clear favorite in this group B as Shiki secures that map number 1 against GRIMEBOSS to put himself 1 map away from the winner's match, where he would be facing off against Dewalt if he were to obviously win this game. And then the loser of this series does fall to the lower bracket where Babo awaits. Now we do have hopefully the second map being loaded up here by Zero. Wonder what it is. Could we get confirmation on that, please?
So map 2 pick from Casper, Tau Cross. He's gonna cheese. I'm calling.
You think?
I think so. Probably gonna be Barracks Supply Barracks, but we'll see.
We'll see indeed. So game number 2, Shiki versus GRIMEBOSS, coming right up.
All right, we have in the left side spawn on top cross, Casper as the red Terran. GRIMEBOSS.
And his opponent in the top right as the greyish blue Zerg, he is Ziki, currently leading the series 1-0.
Let's think about this map a little bit. We could see a 9 pool, just so he doesn't have to deal with that potential block with the depot at the natural.
Oh yeah, that is also a possibility.
Well, Casper looks like he's not going to go for a quick proxy or anything like that.
An interesting map choice to go for Tau Cross. We haven't seen match point yet, by the way.
Nope, no match point quite yet. I think if someone were to pick a 2-player map, they would probably prefer Eclipse. And Terrans, they would probably pick Circuit Breaker or Fighting Spirit, Sylphid over any of those maps.
Probably, yeah.
And nope, looks like it's going to be an overpool. Also viable because, I mean, 12 hatch, well, it's fine. It does lead you to some problems if Terran is doing something like an ARAX, because the drone pull is not as easy to execute. You can get that depot at your choke and then it's game over. Can't get drones out to fight the Marines. So a little bit risky actually to go for 12 hatch, and just an overpool from Ziki and Casper just playing standard so far.
Yeah, maybe, you know, it is to be expected of him to actually go for some kind of cheesy opening, considering, you know, the stature of his opponent and how good of a player Shiki actually is, especially in this matchup. Once again, we do have that drone scout. Oh, manages to get the connection, but not quite keeping up with the SCV.
And I mean, it's going to be how many lings? I think it's always 6 with overpool, nonetheless. But they do not all out come out all at once like they do in 9 pool. But you do get a slightly faster second hatch, so that's a trade-off there. And Casper, if Casper wants, he could go command center and then get a bunker down. One thing about top cross is because the natural is so wide open, it's hard to later deal with a potential ling all-ins.
Yeah, that's definitely something you need to bear in mind as the Terran player. The ease with which you can actually hold off any ling run bites and how easy it is to pull your SCVs should you need to. Well, so far so good. We have that bunker up. Now getting filled with Marines. He still has that SCV in the main base of his opponent, which is the most crucial part of this defense. Actually managing to confirm whether you know, your opponent's going for any more lings. Oh, we do have a run by, I think. Yes, indeed, 4 lings do make it past the bunker into the main base of our Terran player, who immediately unloads the Marines and goes in pursuit of those pesky little Zerglings.
This is kind of why you need a depot at the natural, but nice SCV drill to trap those lings. And Ziki smartly splitting off 1 link to actually just kill the SCV at the natural. This is very, very cute play from him. He is going to lose all 4 lings, and I think he only managed to get 2 SCVs, but I think that's fine.
Yeah, this is so obnoxious getting those lings, or having those lings in your main base, causing havoc wherever possible. We do have speed on the way, also there, halfway done for Ziki. So once again, lining up to be a 2-hatch muta build for Ziki.
Casper still dealing with those initial lings in his main, and his command center is about to finish, and we see Ziki making even more lings. What is this? Another factory? So, what?
Oh,
okay,
2
double factory, and it's gonna be Mac, but it's so risky to do this on this map. I mean, I think he's dead to a link flood here, because again, he's not making more Marines, and he sees this large gap at his nat. Things are just gonna run by.
Yeah, is he going to make any vultures or not? That is the question, though. Even if he does, they might be out. No. Okay, this might be just over.
Yeah, no depot at the natural either. I mean,
this is really risky to do as Terran. Like, as soon as you lose that scouting SCV, you kind of need to go for the supply depot. You might need to go for a scout. You definitely need to go for vulture if you're going for those two factories. And we do have a massive run by into the main base of our Terran player. This is going to be a quick one. 5 minutes, 20 seconds in. And this is looking grim for GRIMEBOSS as Shiki gets on top of the SCVs, gets on top of the SCVs in the natural as well. Now
Armory might get delayed as well.
Yeah, also gets confirmation that this is a 2-fact with Goliaths being the follow-up of choice for GRIMEBOSS.
Yeah, Lings at the main, at the natural. And there's going to be mutas pretty soon. That's the threat here. Even if he gets these vultures out, the mutas are just going to hit, and he's going to have maybe 1 Goliath, maybe 2, but no turrets. What can he actually get done? I think his plan was to use vulture speed to distract the mutas, but it's just too little, too slow. And I mean, Ziky's more than prepared now, and there's the eBay going down. There's the first Goliath being made, but it's just not going to be enough. Lings did a ton of damage there.
Yeah, I thought he actually had an eBay already complete at some earlier on, but it looks like that wasn't the case. We have the first flying shrimp moving across the map, and there is, as you said, absolutely no defense on the other side. He might even lose the vulture. Indeed, the third sunken shot does it, and he's only just now, or he hasn't even started his missile turrets, because obviously the eBay is not done yet. And this is really, again, looking very grim for Casper.
Yeah, he's just going to target the Goliaths. He should probably pull those Marines from the bunker just to help out and repair whatever Goliath gets targeted. That's the only way he can hold off here. He's trying to make turrets, spam turrets, so he can defend, but you see how quickly the Goliaths go down. And, I mean, this is game over.
Yeah, he can even trade those mutas, because as long as he manages to snowball, and that isn't going to happen. GRIMEBOSS taps out of game number 2 on Tower Cross, and Shiki, once again, we have our favorite in Group B, who manages to win his opening series with a clean 2-0 to advance to the winners match, where he's going to face off against Dewalt in a ZVP. Meanwhile, GRIMEBOSS falls to the lower bracket, where he's going to go up against Babo in a TVZ. Expectations there?
I think...
Any predictions?
I'm gonna say Casper. Actually, it's tough to say, but I'm gonna say Casper is gonna win against Babo. It's gonna be pretty close, and I think Dewalt. We'll see what Dewalt's level is actually like, how much of a tough time he has with Ziki. If he wins pretty easily, then you can say he's at a very, very high level. But if he has a tough time, then Ziki is also a very strong player, so wouldn't be surprised if Dewalt won 2-1.
Yeah, but what we can say is that there is a clear gap, like a clear skill gap between the guys in the winners match and the guys in the losers match.
Yeah, this is not like Group A, where I think Group A had 4 players, all of strong caliber, and this shows a very clear distinction between Ziki, Dewalt, and Babo, Casper.
Yeah, it's really going to be difficult for the winner of the losers match to even beat the loser of the winners match, if that makes any sense, in the decider match, which makes me believe that both Dewalt and Shiki should make it out of this group without too much hassle. But again, we had a lot of upsets in Group A. We both expected Terra to make it out of this group, even though that, didn't really happen. So hopefully we do, get some of those upsets here in Group B as well. Somebody manages to pull out a quick one on their opponent. Who knows? But here's a quick overview of what's happened in Group B. Once again, our players, and I think we're just about ready to jump into the first game of the winners match, which is once again going to be Dewalt versus Shiki. There we go, that legendary photograph of our Zerg player. All right, game number 1, Dewalt against Shiki. Coming right up.
All right, in the bottom left corner, we have Ziki as the blue Zerg.
And his opponent in the top right-hand corner as the red Protoss, the reigning champion of RCG. He is Dewalt.
All right. Ziki currently, I would say, is probably the third best Zerg in the foreign team, maybe second, depending on where Eon is. But Dewalt, I think, is still a significant, has a significant advantage. Dewalt's PvZ, from what I would say, is just very solid on all facets of the game. And it looks like Ziki's gonna go for a 9 pull on circuit breaker, and he is scouting vertically, but it looks like Dewalt doesn't go for that 9 or 3 o'clock scout. He just goes straight for another main.
Yeah, he did that against Babo as well.
Yeah,
I think the only person who went for that, the 9 or 3 o'clock spawn, or the confirmation was Bar earlier on.
now does the gastric to get that extra drone, and this is all looking like a standard 9 pull, no speed.
But you do get safety cannons still, right? Because you haven't scouted your opponent, so you go cannon, then expansion. You don't just blindly. Yeah, okay. Makes sense, I suppose.
Yeah, this is why Zergs mix in 9 pull every now and then, as well as 11 hatch and overpull, because if you go overpull every game, Protoss can safely get away with going Nexus cannon. And it is cross map, so Dewalt's gonna have plenty of time. Like, he sees the pool and the links being morphed, and if you remember what I said, as long as you start the cannons as the links pop, you have enough time.
Yeah, that is definitely true in a diagonal spawn situation. Because obviously that launch distance is a little bit longer in these situations. But again, I mean, this is looking like every single PvZ has looked identical so far, pretty much from the Protoss perspective that we've seen today. We'll see
just
if that trend
gonna
continues.
Mention a couple of results from these two head-to-head. They played in that there was a map testing thing where players were playing and testing new maps, and in that Dewalt beat Ziki 3-0. It was a pretty convincing run in that tournament. Dewalt beat Dandy as well 3-0, and Oya 4-0 in the finals. And in the best of best tour, Dewalt 5-0'd Ziki.
So you just said what, 3-0, 3-0, 4-0, and a 5-0.
Yeah, just ridiculous.
This guy doesn't lose. Like, how?
I'm telling you, like, it's not common knowledge that Dewalt is strong because he doesn't perform in the highest tournaments that well, at least in BSL. But his level is really, really high right now. He plays a lot, and I mean, he basically sponsored by Rosbrain to play a lot, and it's showing. He's having results, and I think it's about time that he does well in several tournaments in a row to demonstrate that. And now Ziki by no means is a bad player. Ziki is definitely a strong player, but he's gonna have a very tough time here against Dewalt. Dewalt did something interesting. He actually went for Zealot before Cybernetics Core, and I think he's doing this because it was a 9 pull, and he knows Ziki's gonna have slightly delayed tech. But what is Ziki's lair is already on the way. There's a Zealot from Dewalt, and I mean, it's very standard so far. Yeah,
all looking, like he's going to go for that Stargate follow-up with a Citadel. But there is very, very little you can do in PvZ, I feel like, nowadays, as far as showing your own style is concerned. You just pretty much always play the same thing, right? At least nowadays. That's how I feel about it.
I mean, early game, it's basically always the same. You're rushing up to get tech out. You can go for some unique strategies, unique compositions, where you go Master Dragoon with Reaver support. But usually those games are when Protoss opens one gate, where they can dictate pace, they can force Zerg into engagements. But with Forge Fast Expand, you're basically resigned to just doing the same thing, at least opening wise. Then you have a decision where you make Stargate or you just go straight Citadel. And here we have a little cute move out from the wall where he just moves across his bridge but doesn't really commit, and this forces Zergs to make Zerglings here.
I mean, it's very risky. Do you actually need to start making those links when those zealots are at the other side of the map, just moving out? Can't he just wait a little longer?
If the zealots get, usually what you do is you have one link chase them, and if the zealots move further than halfway across the map, you make speed links.
Oh yeah, there we go, halfway across the map. So
Yeah, because if the zealots cross that halfway barrier, then your links can actually catch them as they retreat. But if they don't, then you make all these links, and then you can't really utilize them.
He's committed to a lot more zealots, I feel like, this game than the other PvZs. I'm not sure. I wasn't keeping track in the other games.
No. This is normal. But unlike his game versus Babo, he didn't go attack it with them. He just kept them back. So he's pulling them, and he's actually going for a fast archives, really fast DT. This seems to be his preferred style of play.
So again, we have that first call, so making it across the map to try and confirm what Shiki is doing. Is this going to be a Hydra bust? Is this going to be a Spire? We do see the first Scourge now popping out of the cocoons. Oh, is he going to be able to catch that call? So not quite, but he is going to get on that as soon as possible.
And
the chase.
Something I've noticed, Protoss seem to like making that cannon very far away from the Stargate. Hasn't affected them at all. I think Ball did this as well, but it's a little bit risky. You can see the Scourge can camp the Stargate, but if you're only going to make 2 or 3 Corsairs, it's not really important, not a big deal. And we do have the first DTs heading across the map from Dewalt, and there's the first Hydras from Sziky. Again, this was a 9 pool, so everything is going to be a little bit slightly delayed. And here we have, is this speed right away from Dewalt? Okay, so it's going to be DT into speed lot, and this might catch Sziky off guard, but it looks like he's prepared, at least with the Zerglings in position to hold off this DT. Scourge, very good scouting from Sziky with these Scourge just staying on top of the speed zealots.
So one thing to mention is that Dewalt keeps making his second gateway in the natural, as opposed to the main where he acts his third and fourth. He always has that one gateway hidden in the natural. He did that in the previous game. Is that a stylistic choice? Do you think he's trying to pull a quick one on his opponent? Why do you think that might be?
It's common to do this if your natural has the space for it, because one, it's a faster way to reinforce if you go for a second DT. Like if you go for 2 DTs, the 2 DTs get there faster, or if you go for a speed lot follow-up. And it also adds some, I'm not really sure how to say it, but basically, if you're gonna need to make an Archon, your High Templars pop out at the natural where you have cannons, as opposed to the main where the mutas can camp your gateway if you were ever in a scenario where you lose air control. So there's just no reason to not make it there.
Okay, makes sense.
And the walk going into High Templars and 6 gateway follow-up, all very standard. He's just putting on some map pressure with these Zealots, but you can see he doesn't move out with the High Templars because this is a very risky moment to do so. You can just get them picked off by even Speedlings coming in from behind.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to lose these Zealots out across the map. They're like the first group of Marines in TVZ, but you can't really afford to have them picked off by the mutas.
They're all playing standard here. Oh, 2 drones minimum get killed at the 3rd, and they're all following this up with Robo and Dragoon range, so everything standard from him, getting +1 armor and additional gateways going up to 8. And Sziky behind us, I mean, I'm surprised Sziky hasn't droned up, but I think the threat of the Zealots always being alive, like Dewalt has lost no Zealots, and now he's out on the map again. This is going to force Sziky to retreat, and I mean, I think he actually missed the move out.
Yeah, no, well, he has just been confirmed by the lings in the middle of the map. Like something was back there in the natural. Cannon's getting picked up by Dewalt's own units. Oh, these Hydras might actually get caught by the Zealots of his opponent.
6 hatch was made at the 3rd, so that means Sziky's 3rd gas is going to be quite late. And now we have a 7th hatch at the 4th base. Sziky's drone round is about a minute late here, though. You can see he only now fully saturated. Now we have the Dragoons being pumped out and he's going for observers, and this timing is going to hit pretty strong pretty quickly. In about a minute, he's going to have observers and 1 armor, and Ziki still doesn't have lurkers quite yet, and because he got that 3rd gas so late, he's only going to be able to add maybe 2 or 3 lurkers while non-stop producing hydras. So this is a critical moment here in the game.
Yeah, I wish I could contribute, but PvZ is not really my area of expertise. I'll take your word for it. Once again, I have this situation where the Zerg went for a 3rd at a mineral only. So we'll see if that comes into play later on when those lurkers do need to be added to the army en masse.
Right, so we have the first lurkers being mixed in. Again, look at his gas count, how low it is, and how few lurkers he can actually afford. And he's, fortunately for him, it's cross map, so he only has to really defend a couple of locations. And he's going to have time to react with his army if he goes to 6 or if he goes to the bridges. But you can see he's going to have to invest in these creeps, and then he's going to have a very defensive posture in the mid game. And Dewalt still only on 2 bases. You really delay your 3rd, but you can hit this strong timing at around 11:30, 12 minutes. He's even going to go for +2 armor instead of +2 weapons, which is the correct upgrade against mass hydra mid games. And here we go. Here comes a push. Where is he going to go first? Is he going to test the bridges? Sometimes Zergs under defend the bridges because it's harder to push. Is he going to go for the high ground? Is he going for 6? Looks like he's camped out the bridges. Here we go. First few storms are going to be key. Oh man, he's just going. He's going for it.
Yep, we do have a move out here from Dewalt, moving across the bridges of his opponent. A slight counter from the right with a few hydras trying to snipe those High Templar, but a massive storm comes down on top of the army of Shiki.
Another good storm on the hydra clump and a lurker, but you can see it's hard to get across. But now he has no hydras to defend these lurkers, no support at all, and losing the high ground is going to be terrible. He has a ton of production here on this low ground 3rd base, and Ziki has to unburrow everything, make sunkens, react instantly, or otherwise he's going to lose this position.
Yeah, getting on top of those lurkers was the best thing that could have happened for Dewalt. Again, they do deal a lot of damage, but they likewise take damage very quickly, and they do need some supporting units from the Zerg, some hydras, maybe some lings. But at this moment, there just might be a little bit too much Protoss knocking on the door of our Zerg player. Hardly anything but hydras remaining here for the defense. One more lurker shows up, but a massive storm comes down on top of the hydras of Shiki. One of the hatcheries also gets picked off, and it looks like, yes, indeed, our Russian player, our reigning RCG champion, is going to pick up game number 1 of that series.
Yeah, very convincing winner. Just a very strong push, and a lot of PVZs look like that when everything goes well. Ziki, unfortunately, not able to control those hydras. Even though Dewalt didn't break the bridges, you saw that was a very good engagement for him.
Yeah, I really like Dewalt's army movement, where he started moving out and then he scanned towards the right, checking that there were no hidden pockets of units, then scanned left, made sure that his opponent wasn't out on the map anywhere for any counterattack, for any attempts to snipe High Templar, and only then started moving out. It was really interesting to see how Dewalt chose to maneuver his army around circuit breakers, but a well-deserved win there in game number 1.
Yep. And now we're gonna move into game number 2, and it's gonna be Ziki's map choice, and he's gonna pick.
It's once again going to be Neo Sylphid. We need to watch out so as not to box select any units with eggs once again, lest our game crash. All right. Just a quick overview of our Group B bracket, and we're just about ready to jump into this game.
All right, we have Dewalt spawning in the 7 o'clock spawn as the Red Protoss.
And his opponent as the Blue Zerg in the 5-ish o'clock, currently trailing in the series. He is Shiki.
All right. Haven't seen one gate at all from any of the Protoss.
Yep, it's been Forge, fast expand through and through. What do you think that is?
I think there's just less variance in Forge Fast Expand, and if you really feel like you're the stronger, okay, this is going to be another Forge. If you feel like you're the stronger player, you really want to limit variance, you're just going to play as cookie cutter standard as possible. He knows against most foreigner Zergs he will be favored, so.
Well, yeah, but you take a lot of options off the table. You know that you're going to be super defensive in the early game if you're going for that Forge Fast Expand, as opposed to, if you had that Gateway Expand, you would have a lot more options to try and be somewhat aggressive on the other side of the map, which is, maybe getting a little bit predictable at this point, where if you're the Zerg and you know that your opponent is going to go for that Forge Fast Expand because they think they're the better player and they're going to play defensive, maybe you as the Zerg do try to take advantage of that.
From what I've seen, Dewalt is a type of player where he's very strong in scenarios he's been in before. So in PvT, he always likes to play the exact same way. So he'll open with standard 1-gate Nexus, and then he'll go into a second gateway, and then eventually go into Reavers with speed shuttles, and then follow up with Storm. And if it's that type of game, he looks very strong. But if it's any other type of game, all of a sudden he starts looking a little bit weaker. I don't know if it's lack of experience, or maybe it's just a lot better. I guess everyone's a lot better in scenarios they practice, but for Dewalt, I think that's much more the case. So from what I've seen, every PvZ has looked the same. He opens Forge, he tries to harass Natural, then he goes Stargate, scouts, sees what's going on, and he goes into a fast TT. And every game's been like that. So if it works, why change it?
If it ain't broke, why fix it? Indeed.
Yeah, and here we go. Another hatchery, very delayed, and 2 cannons just because it's 6 links, and he's going to be fine. And already a small advantage here for Dewalt.
Yeah, so what do you do as Shiki, right? Because we know that Dewalt is playing his style that he's favored in, and he's clearly shown that he knows how to do it. So he's the favorite. He's the favorite to win this game as well. What do you do as Shiki? Because clearly the ball is in your court. You need to do something to win this series.
Yeah, I'm not sure. You could go for 3-hatch Hydra and then not necessarily go all in, but you can mix in different strategies here. Sziky probably gonna play standard though. I rarely see him go for cheese in this matchup. And nope, okay, it is gonna be 3-hatch Hydra. But again, this doesn't necessarily mean cheese. We could see him transition into eco out of this, but I think this is a correct play. In a standard game without a lot of variety, I think the wall is just superior, so mixing things up is the correct play.
But we've seen that even though, the Zerg goes for the 3-hatch Hydra, the 973 or whatever, Dewalt always pretty much goes for the Stargate follow-up, and he gets that one call set to confirm whether the build is a 973 or the 973-4 with like the full hatchery or whatever, right? So, I still don't understand how Shiki could beat his opponent by going for a 3-hatch and then faking a 3-hatch and going for a 4th hatch, when Dewalt clearly has the tools to confirm whether that is the case or not.
And the probe count is still alive. This is, it might not seem like much, but this is the most important part of early game PvZ. You need to see what Zerg is doing. And
wait, he's scouting with 2. Okay, that is impressive.
Yeah, the first one was very low HP, but Sziky has very good link control. You can see he's zoning out that one probe. Is he even going to lose? Nope. Look, on top of all his Zerglings, not going to lose a Zergling to a cannon willy-nilly. And this doesn't look like 973. This is actually the all-in version of 3-hatch Hydra, where you go 961, and that's enough to produce. And here we have 2 Zealots. Now, 2 Zealots will actually ignore the Hydra. They can just punch it, and the Hydra has to run away. So you can't lose any Hydras. Losing Hydras really, really hurts your potential to actually do damage with your push.
I think he knows now, because he sees only 1 drone at the 3rd, and there's going to be a Hydra popping out of that cocoon. So he knows this is an all-in, right? Well, yeah. Probably should safely assume that is the case. Yeah, he sees a lot of Hydras and not enough drones at the 3rd.
Yeah, so he knows at least it's not 973. He should realize it's less drone 3 at Paździor, which still means Zergs can transition out of this. It just means it's going to be slower. And okay, 5 cannons right off the bat. But Sziky, okay, it's going to be a proxy gate to make DTs and sneak him into the main, I think. But Sziky, upon being scouted, he's doing the right play. He's just massing drones. He knows his Hydra bus isn't going to do anything at this point. And again, this is smart, but I'm now a little bit worried because of this proxy gateway.
Yeah, it would be prudent to scout maybe for that, but you don't really expect it to happen, right? You don't expect a proxy gateway like that. So this could really catch him with his pants down. We do have that Temper Archives follow-up from our Protoss player. He's going to unfortunately lose that gateway and the Forge in the natural, but he's got more where those came from.
Yeah, even makes a Corsair just in...
Yeah, always
makes that Corsair. And now he knows, okay, 5 cannons is enough because, for example, if Sziky had just kept making Hydras non-stop, 5 cannons would not be enough. It would not be anywhere near enough. But now he has that confirmation. And even though he invested 300 minerals in a Corsair and a Stargate, that's less minerals than you would need if you made a bunch of extra cannons. And there's that first CT. And oh boy, this has the potential to go very bad for Sziky very quickly.
Yeah, because what he's going to be doing here is he's going to try and pull those Hydras into the main base with a Corsair, and then the DT is likely going to go into the natural, or maybe the third, but that is quite far away from the proxy. So I'm thinking those Corsairs are going to go into the main to try and, again, force those Hydras to chase them, and then the DT is going to try and sneak in to one of those unprotected bases. We'll see.
Yeah, there's no detection in the main. Normally you don't keep any because you want your overlords at the natural, so your Hydras will only have to defend one location. But because of that, like, I mean, oh man, there's actually no detection at the nap pretty soon if these 2 overlords go down. Well, 1 drone down, instant drone pull from Sziky, 3 drones already down, and overlords are gonna die here, and this DT can't get in the main. And again, okay, this overlord randomly coming in from the north, but not enough Hydras to deal with 1 DT and 3 Corsairs. And again, no detection, and I mean, this is already terrible. Hydras killing the pull. All Hydras being pulled back. He's gonna need them for the defense here, but this is already a ton of damage, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna be a DT at the net. Oh, there it is. 1, 2, 3 more drones going down, and Dewalt is just on top of it. Proxy gateway was a lethal play here.
Oh, he's going to get the spawning pool in the main base as well. This is so much damage being dealt to our Zerg player. One more shank, and the spawning pool goes down. Another DT, another invisible man shows up in the
Pretty sure
this time.
The DT and the Corsairs can hit the third now. There's only 5 Hydras here, and the Corsairs will kill the overlords before the DT dies. But no, it looks like Dewalt's just going to play safe. He's already following this up. He did slip a little bit in macro there, focusing all his attention on the DT. Oh, 1 more drone goes down. Focusing all his attention. So it's going to mean his timing, which would be a lot faster, is going to be slowed down, but just more and more drone kills.
Yeah, this is looking rough for Sziky. I'm not sure he has actually remade his spawning pool after losing that one in the main base. Meanwhile, we do have a few more cannons going up in the natural in the main base. So Dewalt, well, he's not taking any chances that there's going to be a muta follow-up that could potentially kill him. But again, he does have those Corsairs somewhere still handy, I think. They're probably out flying yet. We still have 3 Corsairs. He's making more, so he's anticipating some kind of a muta switch, which I'm not actually sure is coming.
Yeah, and you see he's going up to 8 gateways.
Yeah, just Hydras.
And the DT or the proxy gate has been scouted, but already did its job.
Yeah, he can't even afford to leave those units down there, lest he get caught. And there we have a move out from Dewalt. Quite a lot of Zealots and a few Storms following that up, but this looks like enough units from Sziky to actually contest this army from our Russian player.
Yeah, without ranged units, the High Templars are a little bit tricky to protect. Looks like Ziggy really wants to kill that gateway, but every time he moves out, oh, actually, this is not a great push here from Dewalt. Does he have enough zealots? Okay, nice second storm, and now these Hydras are very bruised. Lurkers are on the way. He's getting that 4th base. Dewalt gonna stay on 2 base for a little bit longer here as he gets all of his tech and units out. Still not making any Dragoons, but he does have a Robo.
Yeah,
gonna need to egg block. Okay, there it is.
Now, Dewalt can just head towards the natural of his opponent. Is he jumping onto those? No, he's not. Okay.
Very, very nice defense from Ziki so far.
Well, yeah, he's actually making the most out of a bad situation. He's now going to catch those zealots with an overwhelming number of Hydralisks.
Surprised Dewalt actually committed to fight that many Hydralisks there. And I think Ziki can actually stabilize here. He already has a very strong economy, doesn't need any more drones, can just focus on getting units out. And with 4 bases, he has the potential for 4 gas here even. And he can get a lot of Hydralisks and a lot of Lurkers.
Yeah, it was looking really rough after those DTs made it into the main base and the natural, but somehow, someway, Shiki has stabilized. Now he is still taking a little bit of damage from those Corsairs, but this situation is definitely much more comfortable than the one he was in a few minutes ago. Again, as you said, 56 drones against 50 probes. Still no spawning pool, I don't think.
So this is a little bit interesting. Well, I mean, you don't really use the spawning pool here for Zerglings, but you do need it for Sunkens if you want to make Sunkens. But what Protoss is gonna go for is a big attack off 2 baseways, 2 bases, 8 gateways, and Ziki, he's gonna go Hive, but sometimes that's a risky proposition to invest in all the tech you need for Hive, because on the flip side, you could just go for mass Hydra Lurker, and you're cutting into your Hydra Lurker production a little bit if you go into Hive. And we still don't see that 4th gas, which is actually important for Hydra Lurker in mass. And Dewalt has a sizable army, but Ziki has done well enough to get a good economy out. No Sunkens yet, and Ziki is not prepared. He's not having Hydras out on the map to flank this from one side. He's going to come in from one angle, which makes the storms a lot easier to execute as Dewalt. He still has
a very narrow space for Ziki to be caught in.
Yeah, look at these storms, just non-stop storms. And again, I mean, finally we're going to see the Sunkens. Now, Sunkens don't actually add a ton of damage, but they add beef to your army. If Dragoons are shooting Sunkens instead of Hydras, the Hydras can do more damage. And looks like Dewalt is managing to break through here. We still have 4 High Templars, but I think maybe 2 storms left. And where are Ziki's units? Looks like he has some Hydras on the backside. They should really be flanking this army. Lurkers moving up forward, burrowing, but again, he's not really organized with his units. You see units, Lurkers way out of range, units left at 3 o'clock, it's not flanking, and I mean, Dewalt's just breaking through here.
Yes, beautiful army management here from Dewalt, who wedges himself in between the 3rd and the 4th, and then spotting an opportunity to move in towards the 4th, the 3rd, whatever you want to call it, pounces on the opportunity, and this is looking really rough for Ziki, who falls below 100 supply, below 80 supply actually, now trying to catch the rest of this army here from the top, but we do have reinforcements coming in from Dewalt as well, and it's looking really, really difficult for Ziki. As Dewalt stands strong with a massive amount of Dragoons and a few Zealots coming in as well.
And I mean, Dewalt just showing his strength. His 3rd only recently went down, and this is what I'm talking about. When you go for Queen's Nest and Hive, it's leaving you vulnerable, or more vulnerable to a timing where you're already vulnerable, because Protoss is committing to such a heavy investment of gateways and units in the mid game. But I mean, I'm not sure if it's a mistake or if with better unit positioning and better flanking, Ziki would have held that.
Yeah, just not enough army there, and he got, as you said, caught in a very narrow space where those storms really paid dividends, catching a lot of Hydras, catching a lot of Lurkers as well. And things are looking really grim here for our Zerg player. Meanwhile, Dewalt expanding towards his third. I think he's also going for a fourth. I'm not sure. There's a red blob on the map towards the left of this army. Never mind. But yeah, we do have an attack towards the 6 o'clock as well. Oh, looks like Dewalt isn't really going to pounce on that for some reason. Maybe fears a counter-attack towards his own third. Oh, he wants to catch the army as it transfers towards the 6 o'clock. Really smart movement there from our RCG champion.
And there we go. Dewalt just has full map control. He's going in, finding the weakness in the position for Zziky. And look at all these things. They're not going to have speed. They're not going to have crack. And they also don't have any upgrades. Dewalt on the other side already has 2 armor. Protoss units have base 1 armor, so these things are doing 2 damage per hit, basically nothing.
Yeah, there's very little Zerg left. And I think he could just force his way into the natural, though. Probably fears a counter again from the top, as we do have a massive amount of Hydras coming in for one last Hail Mary attack. Or attempt at defense, I suppose. Another good storm, another one to follow. And yeah, this isn't happening. This is
never-ending storms.
Yeah, Dewalt is now doubling his opponent's supply. There are just 2 Sunkens remaining in the natural, trying to hold off the onslaught of Protoss forces, but that isn't going to be enough. One of the Archons gets on top of the retreating drones, and this is going to be all she wrote. Shiki is unfortunately also supply blocked, so it's not like he can remake units to defend. The last remaining lurkers do get picked off by the Dragoons at the top. We're just waiting for Shiki to accept his fate, that he isn't going to be advancing out of this group in first place. And there we have it. GG, our reigning RCG champion takes first place in Group B with a clean 2-0 over Babo, and then a clean 2-0 likewise against Shiki in the winners match. But of course, this isn't the end for Shiki. He's going to be facing off against the winner of Babo versus GRIMEBOSS in the decider match of Group B, coming up later today.
Yeah, and Dewalt just showing his level. Although that second game was pretty impressive for Shiki to stabilize after losing all those drones to the DTs. He was able to end up in a mid game where he was maybe 15-20 supply, 4 bases versus 2. He just needed better engagements.
Yeah, definitely. But it was looking like Shiki could stabilize because he was in a really good spot. And then that one attack from Dewalt between the 3rd and the 4th, when he got a really good wedge in, and then basically could pick whether he wanted to commit to one location or the other one, really kind of sealed the deal and allowed him to snowball out of control. But again, not as surprising as perhaps some people might think. Dewalt is the clear favorite here. You brought up so many of those statistics where he went like 3-0, 3-0, 4-0, 5-0. You couldn't even remember all those, all those scores. But a really impressive showing from Dewalt, and he is going to once again advance in first place. And we do have 2 more best of 3s lined up for you today. It's going to be a TVZ between Babo and GRIMEBOSS, and the winner of that is going to face off against Shiki for the final spot in the top 8 and a ticket to Vladivostok later this year. I think in a month and a half or so, like August. Yes, one of the weekends in August.
All right, so Babo against GRIMEBOSS, and I think these are pretty evenly matched players. Maybe slight advantage to Casper because I think he plays more. I haven't really seen Babo play that much. He participates only in what seems to be like the biggest tournaments, and he does well enough to qualify, to be honest. He's always seeming to participate in BSL and managed to qualify for RCG this time around.
Yep. I mean, what are your predictions? Because I would say Casper takes this 2-1, and then Shiki wins 2-0 against Casper. I think that is the most likely outcome of these 2 matches, but I'm curious to see what you think about the chances of these players.
Yeah, I'd say advantage Casper and then advantage Shiki over Casper. But I mean, I can never predict what Casper's going to do or how he's going to do it. I could easily see him going for 2 cheeses that fail, but I think he has a slight advantage here.
You say he cheeses. You say he cheeses a lot, and I, do share that sentiment that he does often cheese. But so far, he's tried to play really standard games in well, at least the first series. So we'll see if he reverts to type and does go for those cheeses in this series or the next one if he does advance. But anyway, we do have that next series loaded up, I think, the first game at the very least. Okay, we do have confirmation, so let's go. Game number 1, Babo versus GRIMEBOSS, RCG 2021 Group B.
All right, in the top left corner, we have GRIMEBOSS.
And his opponent in the bottom right as the greyish Zerg, he is the Chilean, I think, representative, Babo.
Now, from what I've seen Babo play ZUT, he just only goes for crazy Zerg basically all the time. Now, that's if Terran plays standard. He really likes to go for that. What is this from GRIMEBOSS? Is that a forward barracks? Yeah.
Yeah, looks like it. Like an ARAX, I think. That's a good build.
I'm not really sure about the positioning of the barracks. Usually you see it right outside the bridge, so it doesn't get scouted by the first overlord. Like a little bit further to the right and down. But forward barracks is fine. You do this because 12 hatch is so common in this matchup.
Yeah, you can apply a little bit of pressure with this build. It's not all in. It's not. It's like a middle of the road aggression mixed with a good potential to follow up with something a little bit more standard for the Terran. So I'm not too surprised by his choice either. Nonetheless, this isn't really going to pay off too much, as that they've spawned diagonally, which means the rush distance between the barracks and the hatchery of his opponent is about as long as it gets on a 4-player map. And it's also going to get scouted, as we can see. Babo is sending a drone out across the map. He is going to meet that SCV, shake hands, and basically thwart any attempt to be aggressive from Casper.
Yeah, and there's the first SCV arriving to see that it is, in fact, 12 hatch. Cancelled gas from Babo, pretty interesting. He's gonna get the full scout, but he should already know with that forward rack that it is, in fact, an 8 racks. Way back bunker, and this is smart. You don't want to make it so close to the hatchery. The further back you can get the first bunker, it doesn't really matter. It's fine, because all you need to do is get it there to support your Marines. But full drone pull, or maybe, wait, this is 9 drones from Babo. He's gonna need this nice vision out on the map to provide drilling options, but not the greatest drill. He stops a little bit short of the second Marine. He's already lost, I think, 2 drones.
Oh yeah, this is very sloppy from Babo. He loses a few drones, 8 drones for our Zerg player, 16 on the side of the Terran, and this is actually doing a lot more damage than I thought it would. Babo did get confirmation that this was a very aggressive build from Casper, and that paired with the fact that they've spawned diagonally really made me believe that this didn't have as much potential as it clearly proved to
have.
Man,
Overlord gonna go down. Babo should say this Overlord. He really gotta bring the... Okay, there we go.
Yeah. But
maybe it was bait.
This is still, this has already dealt so much damage. 17 SCVs to 7 drones? That is... How many drones actually went down there?
Yeah, he did cancel the gas as well, and I think that's a big issue, because now he's going to have no options to put on pressures at all. He's not going to have speed links. He's not going to have any tech. He's just going to have drones and a faster second hatchery. But we see even a second bunker going down for Casper. He realizes he's way ahead already. What can Babo do now? He's really limited his options by canceling that second gas, because even with a low economy, if you have a lair on the way, you can just focus on drones with this sunken. He's gonna try to run by. Ooh, nice block here from Casper. He's prepared for everything here. Only 3 drones or 3 links get in.
He's fine. He's absolutely fine. 19 SCVs to 12 drones on the other side. And as you said, very few options on the table for Babo. He didn't have that third gas. He didn't even go for a third hatchery, which maybe would have been an option if he hadn't lost as many drones as he did. But yeah, this isn't looking good for our Zerg player. Doesn't even get that one SCV on its way back to the main base of our Terran player. We have an eBay on the way, an academy as well. So this is looking like a +1 5 racks follow-up from Casper. Oh, no, actually, he's got a lot of gas already.
I think that was a factory. No, it's an eBay. Okay, so it is +1.
Yeah.
But like we see, Babo only now started his lair, and that's the biggest issue here because economically he can catch up slowly. He did have the faster second hatchery than the command center from Casper, and he's safe against any kind of push, so he can really focusing on drones, but his tech is so late.
Yeah, I mean, it might look like the situation has stabilized, but what Casper is setting himself up for is a massive push with +1 at a point where Babo just isn't going to have the sufficient units to defend against what is about to come. We do have Stim on the way, 2 more barracks being produced. I would expect 2 more to get thrown down relatively soon, at least 1 more. I mean, he could go for a factory, but you don't really get the +1 if you're on 3 barracks, I don't think.
I think his other barracks are just late. He's gonna add more now.
There we go.
We see a second creep from Babo just to kill a bunker. And I mean, Babo's economy is fine, but his tech is just so late. Now, every drone that he has additionally, he's going to need to make Sunkens to not die to the first bio push because his mutas aren't going to be in time. This is looking very similar to, who was it? Gornish against Terror on Circuit Breaker.
I can't remember the exact game, but I'll take your word for it.
It was a 9 pool that only killed the SCVs, and all of Terror's Marines were alive. Cross map on CB.
It was like 2 hours ago. I've got a memory like a goldfish. Seriously. All right. So we have that first move out.
Not enough. He's gonna need more, and he's gonna need lings additionally. I mean, this is gonna hit way before mutas, so he's really gonna have to commit to the static defense. And you can see no turrets at all necessary. So this is why it really hurts to have your tech so delayed as I mean, adding all these Sunkens, and Terran can get away with murder with their timing on the turrets.
Yeah, 7:30 and his Spire has only just finished. When you're playing 2 hatch muta, you usually get your mutas out at 6 minutes into the game. That's when they usually pop out. This is a massive delay on the side of Babo. And Casper isn't even going to commit. I mean, I don't think he could actually break this position at the moment with this one control group of Marines because there's 4 spines there. Sorry, Sunkens. Wrong game. But yeah.
Minions are out, and Casper is not aware of this third. He could have probably denied that if he knew. Just gonna retreat, make some turrets, and his tech is already far along.
Yeah, he's gone for that factory. So again, one of those situations where you know that you have enough bio in production to take care of the mutas and any bases. So you just progress along the tech route slightly quicker to force out a different response from your opponent. And there we have that first starport. We've got a control tower on it and likely a science facility. There we go for GRIMEBOSS as well.
Yeah, Babo's still gonna be stuck on lair tech here for a very long time. He is trying to get that Queen's Nest, but he's gonna be very, very limited here in terms of production. He's gonna commit to mutas with +1 attack. Casper finally scans that third base, and now this third base isn't great to defend. You have to defend 2 locations basically, or rely on muta micro. And 3 mutas already gone down.
Yeah, he could probably push up that ramp. It is a bit risky because Marines do get, like any unit gets clunky. Any type of unit gets clunky when going up a ramp in Brood War, but he could probably try and do that.
Here we go.
Maybe not. Maybe it's a bit risky.
He can go for it, but he really should just wait for his bio group that's back at home to combine with this one. And
he lost another muta there. Going to micro.
Okay, much better hit there. You can probably kill this group now. Another muta goes down, but the threat here is the follow-up group. It's even gonna have tank support, so Babo really needs to trade it efficiently with whatever amount of mutas he has. because as we see, he's going straight for Hive, no lurkers, and I mean, he's relying on his Muta Micro, but so far he's lost, what, 6 Mutalisks?
Yeah, I don't even think that these oh yeah, that doesn't look good. More and more mutas getting caught by the Terran player, but I don't think that trading mutas against the Marines ever really makes sense in this situation. Like, maybe you could sacrifice them for the tanks to buy a little bit more time, because you've got Sunkens that Marines are going to struggle to break through without any support. There's just too much Terran. We've got those 2 siege tanks now starting to shell away at the Sunkens. The mutas struggling to find a good angle of approach, as we do have Marines covering those tanks. Yeah, this is looking really rough. 47 SCVs to 31 drones, and Casper, remember, he's already gone up to a science facility. He's getting his science vessels out, so it's not like he needs to end the game here. He's already slowing his opponent down so much with this push. He's forcing out more and more units, more and more Sunkens. This is looking really rough for Babo.
Yeah, even if Babo holds, there's going to be more pushes. Marines are getting stronger every time they hit an upgrade, and it looks like he actually break through. Nope. Gonna play patiently, wait for the tank to kill that one last remaining Sunken.
It's like he's 1 or 2 steps ahead of his opponent, so even if Babo clears out this army, we're still in a situation where Casper
there's a irradiate.
Massive irradiate right at the bottom of this whole clump. This is doing so much damage now. Yeah, this. Well, he's trying. He's really making the most out of a bad situation, but he doesn't have sufficient tools to actually deal with this push. And this is going to be it, I think. Yep, game number 1 of Casper versus Babo. Our Russian player does come out on top there. So again, no surprise, I don't think. I think both you and I agreed on the fact that GRIMEBOSS would have a slight advantage in this series, and it is starting to show.
Yeah, not the cleanest defense of an A ranks. It was cross map as well. The drone drill was not very good, and once that bunker got set up, even though the Marines did go down, like Casper just lost too many drones, and I mean Babo lost too many drones, and Casper was able to set up, get his own expansion, and just play a very comfortable game from there. I also think canceling the gas was preemptive. He probably did that to get more minerals, but they weren't at all required for the defense.
Yeah, he was a little bit sloppy at the start, and then the fact that he took quite a lot of options off the table for himself did definitely play a role there. I wasn't expecting this build to do this much damage, especially in these diagonal spawns that they found themselves in, and the fact that, you know, Babo actually scouted it with a relative ease with a drone. So a little bit sloppy there, but again, this is a best of 3. There's still a chance for him to win this series and advance on to the decider match where Shiki awaits for an opponent. And we do have game number 2 loaded up, as we've just received confirmation, so hopefully we'll get that loaded up, or we'll jump into it ASAP. Zero. Ground control to Major 0. We've lost 0, I think. No?
Well, game 2, Babo's pick. Sylphid is probably okay. Maybe like Circuit Breaker. Okay, looks like Sylphid is the map.
Okay. Alright, we're just about ready.
Ready.
So, yeah. Game number 2 on Neo Sylphid. GRIMEBOSS against Babo. Let's get that loaded up.
Alright, in the bottom left, we have GRIMEBOSS.
And his opponent in the bottom right as the brown Zerg, he is Babo.
Alright, so from what I've seen, and game 1 kind of confirmed that, Babo really likes Mutalisks in basically every matchup, even in ZVP. So we're going to see a heavy focus on the Mutalisks, but he needs to have better control than he had in game 1 to pull out a victory here, because it was very, very sloppy, losing 2 Marines to the first group, 2 Mutalisks to the first group, and then while he did show moments of good Mutalist control, it wasn't consistent.
Yeah, but at that point, you're already so far behind that, you know, whatever you do, but you don't have the right motivation, right? Because things went wrong. Things went wrong in that game, and perhaps took its toll on his mental state, and then by proxy on his micro as well. But yeah, definitely agree with the fact that his muta control was a little bit sloppy. So I'd really like to see how he manages to play in a situation where they're both relatively even, like macro-wise, tech-wise, and if that muta control is any better. Now, we do have to remember that they're probably playing on something like TR12, maybe TR16 if they're lucky, right? Because Babo is in Chile and Casper somewhere in Russia. So I would imagine the connection there, the internet connection, isn't exactly ideal. But obviously that isn't going to come into play in the top 8, where it's going to be played out offline in Vladivostok next month and a half or so. But we'll talk about that at some other time.
Casper getting that wall, which we frequently see, and the drone isn't going to be able to get in, but just seeing that there's a wall lets you know Terran is not going to go bio. There's no reason to wall if you go bio other than to throw off your opponent. And here we have no more Marines being produced, so it's a big tell. We have 2 on gas. Not really sure what that indicates. Okay, just 1 on gas, which means this is probably going to be factory into a quick expansion, and Babo going for 2 hatch with gas.
That is a very likely follow-up. Yep.
Casper, I've seen him open speed vultures with mech a lot. And then there's a lair confirmation and just a standard game for now.
Yeah, well, we just have to wait and see for the events to unfold. But as you said, this is probably going to be a 2 hatch muta build for Babo. Meanwhile, GRIMEBOSS going for that factory expansion. But the question is he going to follow this up with a starport, or is this going to be another factory? Because he did try to go for a 1-1-1 against Shiki, right?
Yeah.
Oh wait, he did try to go for a 2-fact as well, but it was a little bit like wonky or weird.
Yeah, he opened barracks expansion, then factory.
That doesn't make a lot of sense. So he goes for a machine shop. That isn't as big a tell. Could go for both a starport and a second factory from this still, I think. Meanwhile, the SCV in the main base of the Zerg is still alive. Okay,
and there's the Spire. Not using it as part of the wall is a little bit risky sometimes. You need all the buildings you can get, basically. You need a 3rd hatchery and then the Spire to wall off against vulture speed run-bys. But Casper might not even go for that, although we did see an add-on right away, and we do see the armory add-on not spinning, and we don't see additional vultures, so not likely at all to see a run-by attempted here.
Yeah, I think this is the most standard way to go for this 2-fact follow-up. You could probably go for an armory before the machine shop, but that is, you know, minute changes.
Oh man, speedlings, and man, is Casper gonna need vultures now? Casper could die right here. What is he gonna do? Is he gonna full lift the nat? And yeah, okay. All right, full lift at the nat and just rely on his wall. This is a very quick, but I think appropriate reaction from Casper.
Yeah, there is no other way to hold this. He doesn't have a single unit in his main base. Only 1 Marine that is currently sitting at the 3rd base, or the potential 3rd base for our Zerg. It's now, I mean, it is costing Casper minerals to repair. He's not the barracks, that supply depot on the right is going to get picked up. The Lings do try and slip through. The SCV's getting focused now by Babo, and he's now finding an opening here, gets on top of the Goliath, and this is actually going to cost Casper quite a lot, because remember, we do have mutas as a follow-up. They're now just about to spawn out of those cocoons.
Okay. Well, Casper does manage to stabilize here, but he did lose one Goliath there and the depot, so he's going to be supply blocked pretty soon. And the mutas are coming soon. He's going to have to rely on turrets. He has very little in the way of ground units. I mean, this is where you can see how good of a reaction that was to instantly just pull everything from the natural. Otherwise, this game would have already been over.
Oh yeah, definitely. Is he adding a third factory there?
I actually think that was depot. Yeah, because he supply blocked. He did lose the one at the front.
Yeah, okay. But he should be safe against those meters. He's got like 4 Goliaths. There's 1 turret. He definitely needs to get on top of the defense here. And yeah, Babo gets pushed back. We do have a 3rd hatchery on the way for our Zerg player, which isn't going to get confirmed by the SCV scout. 25 SCVs to 17 drones, relatively standard here, macro-wise as well. But I mean, Casper is, I think he's a little bit flustered here because he's adding Marines to his composition because he doesn't know what is coming.
Yeah, I mean, a follow-up of, I mean, if I were in Babo's position, I mean, Babo's a better player, but you already did a lot of damage. You scared your opponent, and what is Casper gonna do? He's gonna have to make a lot of turrets and Goliaths in response. He could have pulled drones off gas in that scenario and transition into Hydras faster, but he's just gonna go for mutas. He's gonna have the opportunity to get a ton of economic damage done, but I don't think he should retreat this way. He's taking a lot of turret and Goliath fire.
Oh yeah, this is... Man. He doesn't want to lose these Mutalisks. I think he lost like 3 there.
Yeah, so now you can see how much gas he's actually banked up because he didn't have the economy to make a lot of basically anything on their mutas, and it's really gonna hurt him here. I think. Go ahead.
He did even out the worker count, and now is actually getting ahead. 29 drones to 25 workers, whereas like Casper needs to keep making Goliaths at this point. He cannot afford to cut those, and it is up to Babo to dictate what his opponent is doing. So even though he did lose a few Mutalisks, he did get a good enough trade, and he like instilled a fear of Mutalisks in Casper, in that the turret player has to keep making. See, he's even... Is that another missile turret? No, sorry, supply depot. Never mind. But he's still going to have to keep making Goliaths to, you know, stay safe.
Yeah, but you can see the gas count hasn't gone down, and it's just because he hasn't been able to force. And I think Babo would have done something similar if he had pulled drones off gas and gotten a 3rd and 4th hatchery slightly faster, because he eventually is going to switch into Hydras. And are these mutas are going to have... I think they're going to have +1 carapace. I'm not sure if he was actually researching. No, it looks like he's not. But he could keep trading SCVs for mutas. I mean, not like this. Not like this. Okay. Picks off 1 as he retreats. But I think the reason why Casper made the bunker was because he feared a potential Hydra follow-up. But it's just too slow here. And even though I do think Babo's in a good position, I just think it could be a lot better.
He's getting a little bit too sloppy. Like, if he had a 3rd, then maybe this would be acceptable. But losing this many Mutalisks, you know, I keep going back and forth between whether this is good or not. But he's like teetering on the edge. Sometimes this trade is worth it, sometimes maybe not quite. But we now do have confirmation of there being mass Hydra for Casper, who did send out an SCV to scout. And the question is, how is he going to respond to this? Because I would expect to see a few tanks start to get added to this composition. And then it basically becomes a game of balancing your composition to deal with what the Zerg player actually has at their disposal.
Yeah, he scans the Hydras and sends all his Goliaths to the natural, sensing the incoming attack. And Babo he's all in. He's sort of all in here because he's only on 3 hatcheries, doesn't have a 3rd base, and Casper is eventually going to outscale him. You see him getting a starport, and he's going to get further upgrades for his mech. He's going to switch into tanks slowly. So even though Babo has an advantage here, it's only temporary. He also got +1, which is a nice upgrade, but not when you only have 3 hatcheries. Your production is so low that you really should be investing in getting more hatcheries out. And especially against mech, where you fight with mass. Okay, and here's the timing from Babo. It's gonna have +1. It's only about 2 control groups, Hydras, and Siege's already down.
I think he's banking on a move out from Casper because I don't really see him breaking this position. There's 2 tanks, a bunker. I mean, granted, that's a lot of Zerg, that's a lot of Mutas.
If he can get on the tanks and kill them,
maybe. So, like, he should go with the Mutas first. Try and get the tanks.
That's not how you do it. If he could have gotten those tanks first, maybe. But I mean, it's still difficult with the bunker and the Goliaths in a good arc. It's gonna be hard for the Hydras to move in. And now we're gonna see the cost of Babo committing to so many units so early. He's not gonna be able to keep up. I think economically, his third is very, very late. He's not going to saturate that for at least another minute. And I mean, he should have already been on 3 bases fully saturated, possibly even getting a 4th now. And we see Casper is in no rush at all to move out. Babo should realize this. He's getting a starport and he's getting more upgrades. He's not really in a hurry to move out. There's no need for all these units unless you're going for a bust.
Yeah, it feels a bit like a throw from Babo. He had a really good position that he probably could have capitalized on had he gone for that quick third. Maybe more drones a little bit earlier, maybe those upgrades. But now Casper is actually back in this game with a relatively strong army. He's getting upgrades as well. I'm not sure about this 5th factory. I would expect him to normally go for another command center because he's already in a good position, like unit-wise. But maybe, you know, that he saw something that made him go for that 5th factory instead. But yeah, definitely a much more comfortable position for Casper, who now feels comfortable enough to actually move out of his natural and secure a slightly more forward foothold on the map. That is also going to cover the 3rd that he's currently trying to take. As unfortunately going to be only that's going to be a mineral only base as opposed to one with a gas.
Now, finally getting some scanners, and we see him moving out with some speed vultures, maybe trying to scout what bases Babo actually has, because he's been pinned back. He doesn't actually know how many bases Babo has. Babo could be on 5 bases here, but he at least sees there's no middle base there. He's hiding his mutas. He has a ton of them. He has about 2 control groups, and this is what Babo likes to do. Just very, very reliant on Mutalisk. I mean, he's gonna get some damage done here. Mutalisks are very good until Terran Mech has enough upgrades, or there's some method of splash with the Radiate. But you can see, oh man, if this were actually the 2 control groups of mutas, this armory might go down. But with just one, focus. Okay, it looks like armory goes down with the upgrade already finished.
Sorry, was that +1 or was it +2?
I think that was +2.
Right? Oh, it's +2. He's got +2, +1. That is actually a decent state of upgrades for the Terran player. I didn't think he would be this far along in those upgrades. What's that in the bottom right-hand corner? Is that more mutas?
That's Overlords.
Oh, sorry. Never mind. Thought there were mutas there.
I mean, something's happened to Casper because he just doesn't have any SCBs. So he's actually behind. Oh. But I still think his position is advantageous because of his upgrades and the fact that Babo doesn't have more bases.
Well, it was that Muta move in to the main that I think he lost quite a lot of SCVs in that attack. And once again, it looks like Babo will try to exploit that angle with those Mutalisks, with those flying shrimp. Take down whatever he can. A few turrets do get set on fire at the very least.
I mean, he's microing nicely, but why doesn't he just use both control groups of mutas and dive on everything?
Oh, there are the mutas.
There's no splash from Casper, so I mean, he doesn't have to fear about splitting against Irradiate. And one control group is doing a ton of damage. He could really commit here. The problem is these mutas don't have any upgrades on weapons, and this is already 2-2 mech, so they're not scaling well here at all.
How do you stop this army then?
Like, Babo has nice upgrades on his Hydra army, but his mutalisks are just with no weapon upgrades. They're gonna take forever to kill these Goliaths. He can get it done. He does have a nice army supply, and I mean, this is a good time to pounce if you can get a good angle to engage from with the Hydras. He might have enough mutas to just clear this all out, but he really has to flank with the Hydraless army.
Yeah, the Goliaths do lead the charge, so they're taking unnecessary damage against the Hydras, but I think that's a lot of Terran, and as you said, 2-2 is already done for Casper, but the flock of Mutalisks do show up, jumping on top of the Terran army, and there might just be enough Zerg to hold off this attack. The Hydras do get raised down by the tanks, but there's hardly any entire remaining for Casper, and it looks like Babo might hold off this attack. Yes, indeed, +2 attack is on the way for those.
What? He's moving forward? Why is he suiciding his tanks?
They're not getting back home. Like, there's no chance. They're dead anyway.
You could probably defend if you had, okay, it's only 5 factories. So everything goes down, but, I mean, what's this called? He's revealed his strategy, and all he needs to do, Casper GRIMEBOSS, is make allies, because his upgrades are much better than Zerg's. So even though he has an army deficit right now, he can actually trade efficiently for long enough that it won't matter.
I don't think it's as simple as that, because his third is a mineral only. And in order to actually properly deal with those mutas, you kind of need to have radiates. Now, you are making a good point that the Goliaths do have really good upgrades, but again, I'm not sure. I would really want to see some science vessels get added to this composition, and I just don't think he has enough gas to do that, because again, he has a mineral only as his third.
There's a first science vessel, but it's going to be a while before it has a radiate.
He needs to catch it. Oh, he's not jumping on top of it. That was the high priority target there.
This is not going to go well for Babo. He really shouldn't stay here that much longer. Again, even though he has a lot more Mutalisks than there are Goliaths, these are 2-2, soon to be 3-2, and the Mutas only recently have 1-1. So I think this is the time for Babo to switch back into Hydras, and he is doing something I like, which is taking more bases, taking 12 o'clock. And if he can deny the third gas from GRIMEBOSS for a long enough time, I think there's a way for him to just overrun him. Here we have another engagement. This is slightly better as the Goliaths aren't all here.
Yeah, he can take this fight. I think he could have stuck around there, but he is buying time for those Hydras to deal damage, to deal critical damage at the third base. The SCVs do get evacuated. This is likewise a good trade if he can kill Goliaths with Hydralisks. That is also going to be quite a worthwhile trade for Babo. But the fourth base is what he definitely needs to deny there, as that base will have the crucial third gas for the Terran player.
You can see Babo up to 5 bases. He has a lot of production. It's looking better for him. But again, this mech, soon to be 3-2 mech. Hydras have nice upgrades, but he really needs, like, I don't know, maybe 2 control groups more and a nice angle to engage from. The Mutalisks aren't, unfortunately, they're not going to be able to get much done here. They can tank some Goliath fire, snipe a couple of tanks, but with Irradiate and Goliaths this well upgraded, I don't really see what they can accomplish now.
Yeah, I think he needs to switch back into Hydras, and that's exactly what he's doing, because he didn't jump on the first science vessel. And if he had done that with the Mutalisks, if you can remember when he first went into the main base of the Terran play, if he had done that, then he would have prevented those science vessels from actually snowballing. And when there's like 2 or 3, they're going to have sufficient irradiates to deal with the Mutalisks on their own, even without like the Goliath support. But maybe not, but you know, I'm exaggerating a bit. But you get the point. So the Hydra switch is probably the right call here for Babo. He's looks like he might try and take another expansion here. 7 o'clock. Nice.
Man, I'm looking at all these Mutalisks, and I'm not liking this for Babo. This is a lot of Mutalisks. This is a very heavy investment, and I mean, these could all go down to 2 Irradiates and 6 Goliaths. So he's got to be careful. Oh my god.
That's going to hurt. It's one of the bottom ones. Ooh, needs to split. Well, luckily it was low HP, so it died pretty quickly.
Like, this would be better. I mean, what is that Casper's 4th base? Maybe hit there and... Okay, just turrets. I mean, just turrets aren't going to be enough. They do buy time, but they're not great against Mutalisks. And Hydras in mass, you should probably get +3 on the Hydralisk, and if he's not gonna go for any queens, then what is he really gonna ultras?
Well, it does make sense because, well, no, never mind. There's a lot of tanks being added to the army of the Terran player. So maybe like he anticipates a Hydra Ultra switch. That's exactly.
Okay, this is what I like. Going after the turrets. If there's only turrets here, the Mutas will be able to kill them. He has to worry about repair, but then if it's just a handful of turrets, you can target the SCVs. Looks like Casper is not going to retreat. He's moving out. This means that Babo has to really have his Hydra spread before there's an engagement at his natural. Looks like he has groups at about 2 or 3 locations. He has to flank with those north side Hydras right away before these get attacked. They're very clumped. He's not reacting. It's just moving forward. Where's the flank? There's a flank. This is going to be very nice, but he's not using all his units. Tanks are very exposed here.
Half of Casper's army is not participating in this fight. I don't think there's a clump of red units in the middle of the map. He still wins. Although, the Mutas, yeah, they all got caught. So Casper wins, I think.
Oh, man. With better execution, I think Babo could have held that push. And if he holds that push, then he has map control again, and it's very hard for Casper to get any more bases, basically. But it looks like Casper just going to push through. More Mutas being added, but I don't think Mutas are the call here. These upgraded Goliaths are just going to shred through them. He doesn't even need the vessels.
I mean, at this point, there's just too much Terran. It's all clumped up, so there's really no way to maybe utilize Hydras against Goliaths only, and then Mutas against tanks only. So this is just... yeah, a little bit too sloppy with his engagements. I definitely think he had potential to clear that army out if he had spread those Mutas out, those Hydras out a little bit sooner. Well, he's still trying. He's got a lot of Mutas. That's a decent irradiate, but well, is he doing it? He lost 2 bases. He didn't even kill the force. He did kill a lot of SCVs, but that doesn't equate killing a base. He lost 2.
Also loses the Spire there.
Oh, yeah. That's gonna hurt.
I wonder if these Hydras ever got +3, because it looked like they were taking a very long time to kill this Goliath. Looks like no, they only have 2/2. And armor is not really that great. Yeah. You really want the Hydras to do as much damage to kill the mech as quickly as possible. And I mean, Casper's position economically in this game was never very strong. So if Babo just engaged a little bit better there, if he holds that push, you can see Casper's economy is very, very weak. He had already killed a ton of SCVs at the 4th, and he just needed to hold that push.
Yeah, if he had held that, this would have been a much better... This would have been a winnable position, because he again cleared that 4th of SCVs. All the turrets got likewise raised. But
yeah,
right now,
I was concerned immediately once I saw he wasn't ready, at least with his Hydra positioning for the flank, because against mech, it's super important to have your engagements coming from at least 2, if not 3 angles to minimize the splash.
All right, we have the first Ultralisk popping out. Oh, again,
yeah, he's doing his best to not die, and the Ultralisk, if they have the carapace, do really well against Goliaths. Not so much against tanks, but if you can combine them with other units, then the Ultralisk tank, while the real damage dealer, the Hydras or Lynx, get their damage done.
This is a very tight choke point. It's not like Casper actually needs to push any further with that army. You could just send the reinforcements to a different base, because he's already dealt the necessary damage. It doesn't, like, there's hardly anything of consequence in the main base, except for a bit of tech, obviously. But at this point, you kind of worry about the mining operations of your opponent at this point.
Yeah, you see the Lings, they do have crack, but they don't have any melee upgrades. So the only damage these things are going to get done are from tanks splashing other units.
We have one last Hail Mary attempt from Babo to save his main base, but that isn't going to happen. The Space Cows get raised by the tanks and the Goliaths, and Casper is looking to close this series out with a clean 2-0, 127 supply to 65, as we do have more and more Terran pushing in towards the 12 o'clock. Now, Babo is going to save that, but again, it might be a little too late. Casper is getting his 5th. It's just getting out of control at this point.
Yeah, 5th setup, and he just has enough now. I thought one way for Babo to come back if Casper's bases dried up, but Casper has 2 fresh bases, and his economy has been damaged significantly. And now, I mean, he just has very little options. So, GRIMEBOSS gonna get a rematch against Zziky here, most likely, and Babo, unfortunately, not gonna head on a trip to Russia.
Yeah, we're going to most likely have another TVZ, and most crucially, we're going to avoid having a ZVZ, having to sit through a ZVZ. So, you know, swings and roundabouts, I guess. But I mean, he's still trying. You know, again, there's a trip to Russia on the line, and everyone in this tournament would probably like to go to Vladivostok, see the rest of the scene, see the rest of, you know, our StarCraft players, and hang out with them. But unfortunately, it doesn't seem like Babo is capable of winning this game anymore.
And again, the Lings and Ultras just don't have any melee upgrades, so the damage they do is...
they just tickle. Tickle, tickle. Yeah. Well, we have a drop coming into the 7 o'clock. There's there are actually no drones to be killed there.
Oh, this could be good, getting a command center kill here, but...
I mean, it's too late. He's lost all his tech in the main base. So he's been reduced to making Lings at this point. And it's 28 minutes into the game. So he's losing another base. Again, it's a good move. It's a bit too late.
Come on, come on. If he can kill, no, he can't. There's a GG from Babo, so we're gonna have our final match now. Babo out of the tournament, so we have Dewalt advancing out of this group, and then the winner of this next match between Zziky and Casper, another rematch, is the one that's gonna be heading out of this group.
Yep. Is the rematch curse going to kick in this time, or are we perhaps going to have the favorites advance out of this group in full force? We'll have to wait and see. That's again going to be another TVZ. It seemed to be a very easy matchup for Zziky the first time they played. It didn't seem like he struggled at all. So there's definitely things that Casper will need to adjust if he wishes to go to Vladivostok. Again, the winner of this match will get an all expenses paid trip to East Russia, to Vladivostok, about halfway through August, to duke it out for the prize purse of $10,000 in the top 8 of the tournament.
Casper tried Valkyries, did not go well. Zziky just out-microed him big time. And then he tried going for mech, but didn't even get to that point in the game, just lost to Ling, and then the quick Muta follow-up. So what do you think about their rematch? Does Casper have a chance?
I mean, he definitely needs to do something differently if he wants to win this, but I would expect this to be another quick 2-0 for Zziky, because he's just that good, especially in this matchup. It feels like this is the one that really stands out for him. You know, in StarCraft 1, this is much more the case than in StarCraft 2, where most players have one matchup they really excel in. And, you know, ZVT really feels to be that matchup for Zziky. And yeah, hopefully we'll get that loaded up in just a minute. Again, we are casting from replays. The games were played like 15-20 minutes ago. We're just making sure that, you know, no lag issues arise during the games. You know, a slightly more comfortable situation for the players. But yeah, here's a quick overview of what happened in Group B so far. If you're only just now tuning in, we had Dewalt take down Babo with a clean 2-0. Likewise, Shiki against GRIMEBOSS, a quick 2-0 win for Shiki. And Dewalt advancing in first place. And we're now down to the last chance, aka decider match of Group B, GRIMEBOSS against Shiki. Game number 1, coming right up.
All right, Blue Storm, and we have in the bottom left corner Zziky.
And his opponent in the top right, hailing from Russia, he is GRIMEBOSS as the blue Terran on the map Blue Storm.
So is GRIMEBOSS going to do something sneaky here? No SCV heading out, so we're not going to see an ARAX, no BBS. Ziki probably actually going to 9-pull on this map as well. 9-pull is not necessarily anything all in. You do well against several different openings from Terran, and you're just very safe against whatever cheese they try to do. And it looks like Ziki so far gonna go Overlord, could still be Overpull. He did do an early scout with the SCV the last time with the drone last time around, just so he could do a 12 hatch. So we're looking to do something similar to that, and Casper so far playing standard.
Yeah, again, we are assuming that Shiki is the better player, and he's clearly working off the same assumption, which means he is going to send out those drones to make it to make sure that his opponent isn't trying something sneaky and doing something dodgy on the other side of the map.
This was, of course, the map where Casper tried to go Valkyries, and it did not work out for him at all. Again, we have the drone attacking that SCV. This looks very similar to the first game. Even the spawns are the same.
Yeah. He's going to try and heal it again.
All right. Oh, I mean, Ziki's doing a lot of damage to this SCV here.
This is so obnoxious for the Terran player.
Yeah, Protoss and Zergs don't know the pain of, I guess Zergs do, because they get their hatcheries pylon blocked all the time, but
oh no,
when your SCV is building something, it becomes the most vulnerable unit in the game. All of a sudden, it can't, like, it just always goes in the wrong direction. The probe easily harasses it.
He's going to heal that drone again with the extractor trick.
Oh, run away, drone. Don't want to stay around for too long here. It's actually very low on health.
As if that mattered. Alright.
2-hatch from Ziki.
Yeah, we're once again, I think, expecting 2-hatch Muta to come out of our Hungarian player. Obviously, again, we're all working off the assumption that he's the better player, and if this build worked in the previous the previous time they faced off against one another, then, you know, if it ain't broke, there's no reason to fix it.
All right, eBay, so it's going to be +1 from Casper. And now this seems very risky against 2-hatch Muta.
Yep, against 2-hatch, you usually open with 2 barracks, I think.
Yeah, the reason is because you need the academy upgrades on time to deal with the mutas. If you go for +1, you delay your academy, and then you're not going to have range for a very long time. Makes it hard to engage against the mutas. And we have a similar strategy from Ziki. He's making lings, and oh, the bunker wasn't done actually. And even though he gets into the bunker, the lings are running by, and this is going to slow down Caster's build. And you can see Ziki always likes to split off the lings. So you'll have 2 here, and where are the other 2? Looks like they're on the left side. Gonna loop back into the main, gonna join with that 3rd one. He sees it's +1, sees the late armory. If Casper gets anything delayed on top of the delay he already did with the +1 starting, he might be in big trouble. He's losing SCVs. I mean, this is Ziki's where he excels in, where there's a lot of multitask around, and he can take advantage of his unit control, where he always seems to excel in these scenarios. He has very good Zergling control.
Yeah, a slight mistake there as he tried to take down the refinery, but as you said, this could be disastrous in that everything on the side of Casper is slightly delayed by the fact that he went for the eBay and the +1. So he might not have sufficient army units to actually take care of the Mutalisks that are about to pop in about a minute or so. This Ling now has speed, so it's extra obnoxious. It's not going to get caught by anything on the side of Casper. 2 more showing up in the natural, getting 1 and 2 and maybe 3 SCVs.
And you can see this wasn't a huge investment into Lings by Zzyky at all, but he's already done so much damage, and just making an additional 2 Zerglings get another couple SCV kills for him.
Oh,
he might even get this Marine.
Yeah, this is so surgical. Every trade he gets, he just sends in 1 or 2 Lings and trades them out. This is really paying off. Every single Marine, every single SCV really count at this moment.
Yeah, so we see 3rd already up for, or going up for Zzyky, and he's already having his mutas in production. And Casper, he has what, 7 Marines after all those Ling harass. So this is just a great position for Zerg. See 5 Marines outside the bunker. He's adding more now. He's getting his 2nd, 3rd barracks up. He's gonna need turrets desperately though.
Yeah, the first mutas are popping and they're heading across the map. And the question is Shiki once again going to find an opening? Because that's all he needs. Like, Casper needs to be secure. He needs to batten down the hatches on every single angle that Shiki could approach him from. But Shiki only needs to find one opening to snowball, right? Just like he did in game number 1. There was insufficient defense in the main base, close to the mineral line. And that's, you know, like he killed 1 Valkyrie, then 1 turret, and things just kept snowballing there for Zzyky. And the question is that opening going to be there once again? He's going to try. There's a couple of Marines there, but so far, not really consequential amounts. Well, the meters do try to get in, sneak past 1 of the turrets, and just to pick up 1 or 2 SCVs. Another Marine does get picked off. 7 Mutalisks still remain. The 3rd base has finished in the top left-hand corner, and he's still being as obnoxious as humanly possible.
Yeah, so you can see 1 Mutalisk went down, but you got 3 SCVs in Marine, and decent turret placement at the NAT, but the main didn't have the best coverage. And while Casper is building up a significant bio group, Zzyky's 3rd is already up, and he's already saturating that. It's going to be a little bit before Casper is confident enough to move out. And it looks like that turret is actually mannering his gas as well, so just to add insult to injury.
Yeah, I'm starting to question the decision to go for +1 attack, because he just simply doesn't have enough Marines for that upgrade to like be of any consequence. Because normally when you go for a +1, you try and aim for 5 racks production at the very least. And right now he's only just adding his 4th barracks. So even though he did invest in that, it's not really paying off. He hasn't been able to move out just yet. He hasn't gained any map control. He's still trying to hold off this muta aggression. And I mean, he's finally moving out. So he didn't take as much damage as he did in that first game they played on Blue Storm. So, you know, swings and roundabouts.
Ziggy's buying out Totem time, and he actually only made 8 Mutalisks right off the bat. Didn't even go straight for 11. He actually mixed in a drone round, and he's getting his upgrades with Lurker, Queen's Nest, and Hive already on the way. Meanwhile, Casper still pinned back at his base. He's actually supply blocked now. So nice stim forward there to kill 1 Muta. But again, Ziggy's comfortable here. You can see 8-minute or 9-minute start port from our Terran player here, very late, and he's still pinned in his base. He's gonna have a tough time getting out of here.
Yeah, Shiki is still fishing for those openings, those chinks in the armor of Casper. Manages to pick off every Marine, you know, counts. It does delay this push ever so slightly.
Yeah, turret goes down, and now we found a vulnerable spot. Both starports get delayed, and we're killing a ton of SCVs here, and now the barracks are exposed. And again, full retreat from Casper.
And this is all he needed. This one opening, and this is just going to snowball out of control. Once again, just really showing us why he's the expert he is claimed, like everyone claims him to be. Shiki, that is.
And we have one starport being killed, and the other one got delayed significantly, and we still have basically all the Mutalisks alive. We've only lost, I think, 1 or 2. I mean, I wish Terran players would take note. Like when they control Wraiths, you gotta treat them like Mutalisks. They cost a lot, and you don't want to lose them basically ever. The longer they stay alive, the more value you can get out of these very costly units. Mutalisks, of course, are much better than Wraiths. And here we go. That's the science facility there, I think. And I mean, Ziki's going to delay that as well. Lurkers are already out, so it's not like these Marines can get much done without any support.
Yep. Once again, going to exploit that vulnerable position.
Oh my God.
Are those hold position Lurkers or not? Oof. Oh, he's actually going towards that third. He's going to get spotted by Shiki. Now, the question is, did Casper see those Lurkers on Burrow? So far, doesn't seem like it. Now that no, those were decent spines. Pretty decent spines.
He didn't actually position them in the path, but just close enough. And now the Mutas and the Lurkers combined will be able to easily clean up this file group.
Yeah, and once again, Casper gets pushed back, and Shiki has full reign of the map. Full control. Look at units just trickling across the map for Sziky. A lot of links now headed across the map, and I don't think there's enough to hold off all this aggression. Because remember, there's still the Mutas, there's still the Lurkers as part of the composition of our Zerg player. He might just overwhelm. I mean, this is 100 supply for the Zerg against 74 for the Terran. You don't see this. You don't really see these numbers in TVZ. They're usually swapped. But as is, Casper gets collapsed upon by the Zerg. And this is looking like a Sziky victory.
When your Nat gets busted without Defiler, you can just... Zerg goes very far ahead.
Yeah, the bunker gets jumped on, gets repaired, but there's a lot of Lurkers now throwing spines against this command center, against this contact station as well. The turrets on the left getting picked off by the Lings. Oh, looks like Casper might be stabilizing, but again, look at the minimap. More and more units trickling across the map. He's got his third fully saturated, taking his fourth as well. He's got a full reign on Blue Storm. 92 supply to 69. Nice. For the Terran.
First Science Festival, and the first irradiate goes off at 12 minutes. It's just been very delayed for Casper. Sziky, excellent control all game long, and looks like he's gonna wait for these extra Lurkers to get in and go in for the bust.
Yeah.
Does he have Defilers though? I haven't seen the Defilers mount. Okay, yeah, he does. Already researching Plague additionally.
At this point, it doesn't really matter. He's got so many Lurkers in that natural, he doesn't need the Defilers to protect them, because there simply aren't enough Irradiates to take care of these units.
Medic working overtime there. And here we go. First swarm gonna just put the nail in the coffin. Casper has no way to defend now.
And that is going to be it for game number 1 between Casper and Sziky. Once again, going as expected with our Hungarian player taking this this first map, putting himself just one game away from that ticket to Vladivostok. GRIMEBOSS, I mean, he really needs to step it up. He needs to win 2 games in a row if he wishes to go or to get to the top 8 of the tournament. Otherwise, he is out.
Yeah, just really questioning the build choice. Once he saw 2 hats, you can't go for 1 racks, eBay. Don't have any Marines, and Sziky was really able to punch that with his Ling, control his Ling movement. Really nicely executed attacks, just even with 2 Lings, able to get a ton of damage done.
Yeah, I mean, +1 is nice, but you kind of need units to benefit from it. If you do need to go, if you do want to go for it. So again, questionable choice of build there, as you said, but you know, he still has a chance. Definitely needs to shake things up a little bit if he wants to advance, but it's going to be a top order. Again, Shiki, arena expert of TVZ. So do we have confirmation of what the second map is going to be? It's once again going to be Taucross. So if we go back to the first game, I think GRIMEBOSS once again chose that map. Yeah, after losing the first one, which was also Blue Storm. So a bit of a deja vu moment here. in the RCG. So hopefully we'll get that loaded up in just a minute. Here's a quick recap of what's happened so far.
All right, with Dewalt heading out of this group first, or Babo being eliminated, it's between these two players, Zzyky and GRIMEBOSS. And Zzyky so far has shown to be at a very, very high level in ZVT.
Not much more to add. Shiki just showing up in full force, saying, you know, all ahead full, and just plowing through the Terran once again in this series. So I think we have the replay loaded up, so we'll jump straight into it. Game number 2, Shiki against GRIMEBOSS.
All right, the tile cross we have in the top right corner our blue Terran GRIMEBOSS.
And his opponent, as the red Zerg, currently leading up 1-0 in the series, he's Shiki.
All right, top cross again. So Zerg probably gonna go for some kind of pool first opening. Could definitely still go 12 hatch. It's not like against Protoss where 12 hatch isn't a viable opening because of the fact that you can get pylon and then cannoned, but we'll see. I'm surprised Casper hasn't really pulled out anything more aggressive against Zzyky, because against Babo he did go for 1 8-racks, but otherwise he's just been playing 2-base builds against Zzyky.
Yeah, I think Shiki has been going for hatch first openings with the scout, so maybe there is still some potential there if Casper goes for like a BBS or an 8-racks. It clearly worked against Babo, but so far no aggression coming out from our Terran player, which is a little bit surprising, as you said, because we did say that Casper does like his cheesy builds, he does like his aggressive builds, and I was kind of expecting him to revert to type in this series, and that he would try to go for those aggressive builds, but instead he is sticking to this macro approach that so far doesn't seem to be working.
Yeah, and here we go. Something different finally. This might just be mech right off the bat. He hasn't done this against Zzyky. Well, the time he did try to go mech, he did still open for barracks expansion. So maybe something different will work for him here.
Yes, that was an awkward build. You don't really see a 2-fact follow-up off of a gasless expansion. But, you know, if he had been given a chance, because there was that Ling run by, if he had properly responded to that, then maybe that build would have worked. Of course, we'll never know. But again, as you said, this is hopefully going to be this 2-fact opening for Casper. Meanwhile, Shiki still doing his standard 2-hatch opening. Probably going to see the spy get thrown down sometime soon.
He does get the scout, and he's gonna see critically that there's none on gas, so he can confirm this is gonna be an expansion, and he could just run away now. And full scout from Zzyky, very nice to have a Zerg. Yeah. And now Casper, I mean, doesn't look like he was planning to do anything sneaky. Doesn't put 3 back on gas, just a 1, and now he's just gonna expand and head into a standard game from here. Sometimes Terran mixes in speed vultures before the Goliaths, which hit just before the mutas are out, and he goes straight for that add-on. He has the SCV seeing the Ling count, so not scared of any Ling attack here.
Oh yeah, this could be something with a speed, because normally you do try and get 1 vulture before the machine shop, I feel like. But
yeah, just for safety, and nice control so far from Casper, keeping this SCV alive. Like you said in the previous game on Tower Cross, like when Terran loses that SCV scout, Zerg could literally do anything. So the longer you keep this alive, the better it is. And looks like it's gonna go down now. Does he have a second SCV for the rescout? Looks like no. Probably wouldn't get in because normally Zergs just make a sunken, and we are gonna have speed vultures, so it's gonna be very important how Zzyky decides to SimCity, and we are making a lot of Lings here.
well, The second SCV doesn't necessarily need to get into the main base. What it needs to do is confirm how many lings are getting made. But this is going to be a good response from Casper, even if somewhat unintended. Because, you know, speed vultures are actually pretty good against lings if you can micro them properly. Now, obviously, he doesn't want to lose that one vulture he's got out on the map. And again, he has no confirmation that this is happening. So is he going to be looking? Because 1 second is all it takes. He could be looking in his main base. This vulture is out of position. Oh no, this is gonna hurt. He could surround it. He doesn't have speed yet. Oh.
There it is. Their speed just finishing.
Okay.
And
he's fine.
I mean, he's gonna have a second vulture pretty soon here, and this is gonna be a very easy defense. And Sziky, I'm wondering why his gas is so low, and I think I saw he had 2 on gas in his main.
Oh, that would be disastrous.
Oh man. Only 2 on gas for Sziky. He does have the gas at the natural, but missing 1 gas on drone so early is really going to hurt him here. Now he's going to have to deal with speed vultures. He really needs to get a wall, a complete wall here. Oh, he doesn't have any wall here, but the drone control was fantastic. If those 2 or even 1 speed vulture gets in, that changes the game completely. And now, I mean, he really dodged a bullet there.
Now Casper doesn't have a response for those links, so they could come into the natural. There's hardly any units there. Well, let me reiterate, there literally aren't any units there. So you could get like maybe 2-3 SCVs with these.
Yeah,
I don't think you can get the Goliath, but you could get the turret. You could get the turret, that is good. Gonna get an SCV, maybe another one. No, but this is still doing work. This is definitely doing work.
Yeah, the Lynx not very good against the Goliath, but you can just see he will ignore it. And he's running around the main, and this is where he excels at now. 3 Goliaths and a couple turrets are going to be enough initially for these Mutas, but every time I see early game against mechs, sometimes Zergs can just shine through with their micro and their engagements. And here we have another SCV is going to go down. Sziky is getting a 3rd base at that near gas 3rd. But again, I wonder if he's noticed the lack of gas. I like that 3rd drone being off the gas is pretty big.
Yeah, I'd like to get confirmation whether he noticed or not.
Looks like it's 6 mutas. 7 is now enough to one-shot SCVs, so you can probably commit to a dive here if you want. It's like 1, 2, another 2 workers go down, and Sziky is joining up, so he's going to be in a fantastic economic position.
So what do we expect the follow-up to be for Casper? Are we looking for some kind of a timing attack, or is this going to be a slightly more turtly mech that he showed against Babo?
If he's getting +1 attack, it's going to be more turtly. If he's getting +1 armor, he's going to go for a timing. That's usually the tell. Because when you go for +1 attack, attack scales better into late game, and your vultures will 2-shot drones. So you see Terrans mix in a couple of vultures after their initial Goliath round to harass. Nice barracks there to give vision and to block the gas SCVs from getting sniped. And this looks like to be mass muta from Sziky.
Yeah, that floating barracks makes it a little bit more difficult to actually target specific units underneath. And could we take a look at the armory? What is he getting? What kind of an upgrade? Did you notice? Was he getting +1? Okay.
We still have 2 on gas from Sziky, which is...
Ooh.
I mean, that's a lot of mutas, and there's only 2 turrets here. I mean, look at how quickly the mutas can go in, snipe something, and leave. And every time he does this, that's more value he's gotten out of the initial group of mutas.
Yeah, this is so incredibly obnoxious because Casper needs to be paying attention all the time, and it's not him who decides where that attention needs to be paid. Because anytime Shiki shows up with his Mutalist, that's when you need to be with your attention as well, so that you don't lose any units. That is really obnoxious to play against, you know. But kudos to Shiki for being this good with the Mutalists and kind of dictating the pace of the game over and over again.
All right, so that's 4 factories, and I think that's +1 armor being researched now. So he probably already has +1 weapons. And yeah, he does. And I think the mutas have +1 as well.
That is very likely. Meanwhile, we do have the third being saturated. 39 drones to 41. Oh, he feels the necessity to add a few creep colonies. Oh, sorry, those are hatcheries. Never mind, they're too big. Yeah.
Yeah, so he is eventually gonna switch into Hydralisk, and here comes the timing from Casper, but it's only 4 factories, and it's actually not gonna have +1 armor, so it's not that threatening. The +1 armor is a lot better against Mutalisk than the +1 attack because of the way the Mutalisk attack works. It just scales better.
Every time the glaive hits, your upgrade actually kicks in as well.
Yeah, and I think this is the moment, but he's not hitting, like, he's not coordinated. He's even gonna make a turret here. These creeps are just here to buy time. Basically, we still have 1 creep in the back end. While this looks like a lot of Goliaths, I think, I mean, this is the moment where everything's decided. The mutas are popping out. He has the mutas hidden in the back. He's waiting for the right opportunity to attack. Wait, actually, these mutas are way farther back than I expected. And it looks like Casper is actually breaking through here.
It feels like Shiki actually lost track of his opponent's army for a moment there, as you know, even though they were trickling in, like, as you said, this uncoordinated line, it would have been easy for Shiki to actually pick off a few Goliaths as they were approaching, but now he needs to attack head on. He's already lost his natural hatchery, and it seems like Casper is breaking through. 79 supply to 62. He's got +1/+1, and Sziky taps out of game number 2 there on Taucross. So we suddenly have a series on our hands.
Yeah, that was very surprising. Sziky, where were his mutas at that critical moment? Because just a 1 sunken to tank some fire as the mutas engage probably would have been better for him. Like, if he has that 1 sunken to support. His additional sunkens I didn't think were at all necessary, just other than to buy time for him to group up. But just, I'm not sure what happened. He wasn't there. He wasn't ready. He wasn't responding to the army movement from Casper at all.
Yeah, it definitely felt like he lost track of his opponent's army, because there was a moment where the Goliaths were trickling across the map, as you said, in an uncoordinated line again. So it would have been possible for Shiki, with his micro especially, to pick off a few Goliaths here and there before they reach the natural, and thus, you know, making that attack much weaker than it was. And yeah, a little bit surprising, but hey, 1 map to go, and the winner of this last map of the day is going to Vladivostok.
That was crazy, because Ziggy was so close to just producing out of 5-6 hatcheries with a lot of hydras, but maybe that gas that Ziki was missing came into play, because he never realized he only had 2 on gas. But now we have the match point basically for the final spot in the round of 8.
Yeah. Is it also match point the map 0? No, it's Eclipse. Oh, that was such a good setup if it had been match point. But it is going to be Eclipse, a TDZ between GRIMEBOSS and Ziki, our last map for the day. So let's jump straight into it.
All right, in the top right, we have Ziki as the red Zerg.
And his opponent in the bottom left, representing Russia, he is GRIMEBOSS, aka Casper.
Okay, this is just going to be a depot? Okay.
Okay, so he's going for a wall. Now, these are actually spawns where you can go for a 2-starport Wraith build in your main, but obviously if you're walling in the natural, that isn't going to be the case. I wonder if you actually want to go for a 2-starport Wraith build against someone like Shiki.
Yeah, and looks like another early drone scout from Ziki, just playing it safe. I mean, he's done this every single game against Casper. This might actually just be the hatchery, though. Nope, no drone scout this time. Oh, okay, no, there's a drone scout. I see 2 dots on the map. Casper getting a gas. Not surprised at all. You don't make the... Okay, this I'm confused about. Why did he make a low ground depot and then not use the barracks as part of the wall?
Yeah, I was just about to point that out as well. Why is the barracks the main base and the supply depot at the bottom of the ramp?
Looks like he even tried to mask his strategy, but the drone just walks right up.
Maybe a little bit indecisive about his choices here, about his build.
And Ziggy showing, as always, that he can be very annoying with his drone.
We get it. You play Zerg. You've got drones. You've got like half a range. Okay. Imba. All right. I mean, it looks like the same build over and over again from Shiki. And again, if it works, why fix it? If it ain't broke, why fix it? We've got that factory follow-up from Casper. Probably going to see a bunker in the natural as well relatively soon. Because, well, never mind. He's got the SCV. Oh, I think we did box select once again. So we will... Yeah, apparently works on any map. If you box select...
Any map with those eggs.
With neutral eggs, right? Yep. So we'll have to get the replay reloaded. Again, there's a new feature that has been implemented to StarCraft, if you haven't been following, that if you're an observer and you box select any unit with a neutral egg, the game crashes. So we'll have to get that reloaded. But yeah.
Oh. I'm going to use... Huh? Go ahead.
Do we once again expect a 2-fat Goliath build from Casper, or maybe something else?
I think he won with that, so he's probably going to want to repeat it. He also did pretty well against Babo with mech, even though I think that was mostly Babo messing up.
True, yeah, possible. But definitely not Valkyries. Definitely not Valkyries again.
No Valkyries. That did not work out at all. I think he's going to try to get the game where control of units is going to have minimal impact, so he's going to opt for something like mech. Whereas if you go bio against Mutalisk, it's going to come down to who has the better control, and Ziki has shown in all aspects he has better control. So if you can go mech, Goliath micro against Mutas is really basic. You don't really have to be on top of them all the time. You just attack, and then if the Mutas are really close, you try to back away, try to get the best engagement you can. And here we go, Barracks floating to lower ground, so he's rectifying that decision to make it on the high ground.
Yeah, that's a very good point, that if you're playing against somebody like Shiki, you want to choose a build that where micro doesn't play as big a role as perhaps it normally would. So that's definitely a good point to raise. Also, we have to remember that actually dealing with mutas in the natural here is a little bit iffy. There's not much room for those Marines to micro around, so having those Goliaths with extra range, thanks to the Charon boosters, is likewise going to come in handy.
And Ziki getting that complete scout. You can see he's gonna... Actually, why is he staying here? He sees the add-on, he sees everything, no starport, sees the amount of SCVs on gas. He's actually gonna be able to escape as well. And I mean, Overlord, okay.
He might have been hoping that he would get to see whether the machine shop was getting anything, like whether it was spinning or not. But
that's a little bit ambitious there.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Fat chance you're not going to get that.
Oh, Lings get in. What the heck?
Maybe
Maybe that's what he was looking at. There's only one Marine, okay, 2 Lings, and then all of a sudden, this is annoying for Casper.
How does he keep
Command Center
doing it?
Delayed, and again, splitting off the Lings, something he likes to do a lot, and this makes it annoying for the... Oh my god, can he delay the armory? No way. Okay, just a slight delay.
Where's the Marine? Is he sleeping on the job? Where is that guy? What are you doing, mate?
Yeah, so even though no SCVs went down, the command center and the armory were both delayed there.
Yeah. You know, any second you can get as the Zerg player maximizes the chances of there being insufficient defense for their mutas. And maybe the Lings as well. Who knows if he chooses to go for a Ling Flood. Okay, so not making the same mistake as last time in that he has three drones on both gases.
Yeah, and looks like Casper's gonna go for speed vultures, but he did get supply blocked, and so already, I mean, it's not looking good.
Yeah, don't you just cancel it here? He's going for a 3rd factory. That is really quick. So that is probably Charon boosters. +1 third factory. It's interesting.
All right, no wall. Sometimes you get the third hatchery at your nat just so you can be very secure against run buys. Third hatch at the third instead, and it's gonna be fine because there's no what do you call it? No speed vultures. He's gonna get the scout with a vulture, and Ziki is going into Mutalisk. Does he have an armor upgrade or weapons upgrade started right away? Looks like he does. So, and +1 weapons for Casper as well. It's looking to be similar to what we saw last game.
Yeah, but that's a really quick third factory. Unless he did go for that again, then in Town Cross, and I somehow missed it. But it feels like a really quick third.
Yeah, can he actually afford gas-wise all of this? Does he have Goliath range? I don't think he has Goliath.
He does. He does. He was research. Yeah, he does.
Okay. Oh yeah, I did see it. That was good. All right, so third gas or second gas gonna go down now, and I mean Ziki is in no rush. You really don't do much until you have the 7 Mutalisks, because 7 is the number you need to one-shot SCVs, and looks like he's gonna go lift his barracks again, and this always helps get vision, and you can kind of block some FCVs from being targeted.
I mean, it's a two-edged sword, right? Because when you have the barracks floating there, it actually makes it possible for the Mutalisk player to use glaives bouncing off of the barracks to try and deal damage. Now he's not going to go for that over here. He's sniping one turret, now going after the Goliaths. Oh, is he finding that chink in the armor of Casper that he's so desperately looking for? This is very ambitious for Shiki.
Yeah, he actually loses an additional Muta as he ran away there. So a little bit of an overextension with the Mutalisk there.
Yes, a little overzealous. But, you know, on a map like this, I think some Terran players complain about this map in TBZ is that you get a very easy third gas, and that is really important as far as momentum goes in ZVT, because you can afford to go into lurkers and then tech into defilers off of that relatively easily, and there's hardly any way for Terran to punish that because the ramp is so tiny and it's just difficult to push into that. So the question is, do you really need to be losing these Mutalisks to try and keep your opponent back if you know that it is really difficult to attack here anyway?
And we see the armor being researched, so it could be a 1-1 timing, but if that's the case, then Casper does need to throw down a couple factories right away so he can have extra units for that timing. It looks like Ziki's just doing the same thing he did in game number 2. And now we have 9 mutas, more mutas building up. He does have +1 armor now. He can even invest in +2 armor. And now it looks like he's going to go for +1 weapons. This looks like he's going to try to dive and trade off a muta or 2 to get up an SCV. And it looks like, no, Casper is ready. Ziki should not commit here, just wisely retreats.
Yeah, that definitely didn't pay off. We have more factories and starports being added to the production cycle of the Terran, and a Hydra Den has just completed for Shiki. Once again diving into the main base of our Terran player, picking off 1 turret and a few SCVs, but now he might be trapped. That's quite a lot of Goliaths, but he does have some firepower of his own with those flying shrimp 1 and 2, and 3 Goliaths do get picked off, and Shiki will retreat.
Yeah, you saw the power of the +1 carapace on the Mutalisk. It affects both missiles from the Goliath, and the fact that mutas only take half damage from the missiles being small. And here we go. He retreats. He's already going to switch into Hydralisk. He's getting another drone round in. Now he's at a very healthy 35. It's 4 factories, which is what Casper had last game. The difference is Casper has a starport now, and this build is a little bit wonky from Casper in that he's teching up further, but it looks like he's going for a timing, so I'm not really sure.
See, and Shiki once again dives in with those Mutalisks. See, attention is likewise a resource in StarCraft, and what Shiki is doing is forcing the opponent to respond in a very specific spot with a Mutalisk. At any time Casper isn't looking, he loses 1 turret, he loses 1 Goliath, he loses a few SCVs, and that just, compounds on itself. So really expert usage of Mutalisk here by Shiki. Once again diving into the natural, hardly any units left there to defend as well. A few do get picked off. And he's just going to dive back. As soon as Casper shows up, as soon as his attention is in that spot, Shiki just moves back and then looks for another spot where Casper isn't looking to pick off 1 or 2 units.
Alright, Ziki taking a 4th base. And Casper, I mean, he's getting more upgrades. So he's not looking to move out anytime soon. And Ziki is transitioning slowly into Hydralisk. Yeah, actually, these armories aren't spinning, so he might not have a facility here because these Goliaths already have 1-1, so they can't get any further upgrades without that facility.
Oh, I'm not sure if he went for it. Yeah, he's only just now getting in a good spot. Yeah, this isn't looking good for Casper. He's playing a very defensive style, but his upgrades do get delayed. And now, Shiki is going for a 4th. And that is also going to give him access to a 4th gas.
I would have really liked Ziki to get, if he had gotten +2 carapace instead of +1 weapons. But it looks like he has 1-1 on his Mutalisk. He has a ton of gas. He can actually even get +2 carapace and Hydra upgrades at the same time. And his economy is booming. He's going to get that 4th saturated pretty soon. Casper doesn't really have a method to deal with the economy. He's not mixing in speed vultures at all, so he's really committed here to this timing that's very delayed, doing a ton of damage.
Yeah, that's a ton of Mutalisks. I think Shiki could, see, this is what he didn't do in game number 2, is he lost track of his opponent's army. Now he's managing to pick off 1 or 2 Goliaths at the tail end of this push, and this is exactly what he wants to be doing to try and mitigate the incoming damage. Basically, making the push ever so weaker.
Yeah, you stay behind the army so that you can cut off reinforcements and force them back and threaten the counter. That's basically the whole reason to keep the Mutalisk behind, because if you just stay in front of the army marches forward and you can't cut off any stray units. It's like Casper wants to take a 3rd, and this is actually going to reveal to him that there are Hydralisks here, and looks like this is the moment. He probably wants to get on the high ground, but looks like he's just going to engage. Hydralisks do a ton of damage. The Mutas are tanking most of the fire, but looks like with the reinforcements arriving from the Nat, Ziki is forced to retreat. I don't think he actually lost that much there, though.
I mean, he definitely took a lot of damage, a lot more damage than Casper, but he's still got the initiative. He's still the one in the driver's seat, dictating how this game is going to go. Now the Goliaths are chasing the Hydras, meanwhile Mutalisks dealing damage in the main base, picking off SCVs, picking off...
oh man, he's gonna go for the armories.
After the armories.
Okay, it looks like he retreats. But, I mean, the threat is there. That armory is at half health, basically, so at any moment he could dive back and get that. And this is the key, the Hydra switch. Has been revealed already, so I'm surprised Casper is not mixing in tanks 1 at a time. You don't really want to commit to 2 add-ons because then you could get overrun by the Mutalisk, as you don't have a science facility. Casper also doesn't have any way of detecting. Lurkers aren't common, but you at least want scan to see what Zerg is up to. So this looks scary now. This is a much better engagement from Ziki. Much more Hydras, and look at the concave they have, and the Goliaths are split. There's some still at the natural and some in the main, and he's just getting overrun here. This is just way too many Hydras.
Yeah, Casper gets pushed back into his natural. There weren't any tanks to support these Goliaths. No splash to deal with the Hydralisks, and even though the Mutalisks do get picked off, it looks like stim picking is here for Casper as he gets just mown down by the Hydra fire. This is it. This is over. There's no holding this. I don't think he even has siege on that single tank.
Yeah, siege about to finish. Just finished there, and even if he holds, he's already suffered so much damage. And Ziki has 4 bases. Nice upgrades now from Casper, but again, his build was a bit of an in-betweener. Not really going for fast upgrades and not really going for timing either. So we can see Ziki, his economy is just ridiculous. His production is ridiculous, and the Mutas did so much damage to buy him time to snipe things that were exposed here and there. Now the Hydra switch is here, and I mean, what can Casper really do?
Yeah, a lot of TVZ when you play mech is trying to guess how many tanks and how many Goliaths you actually need in your composition to properly balance these things out. And now he's had both Goliaths and tanks reset. So this is like, even if he survives here, this becomes a bit of a guessing game for the Terran player. One of those tanks is not sieged. Meanwhile, a lot of Hydras congregating outside his natural. We've got another move in from Shiki, and this is looking really grim for Casper. Oh, he's going to focus down the command center. A good repair coming in, but is it going to be enough? A lot of firepower coming out of the Zerg player and the natural foes. Oh yeah, there is just no way back into this game. I don't think so. 48 drones to 25 SCVs for the Terran player. 4 bases against 1. And Shiki he's just running circles around his opponent, looking to close the series out. Now remember, the winner of this one map is going to go to Vladivostok in about a month and a half's time.
And here we have now the meta switch, and this is where Zerg really shines through. When they can dictate what Terran needs to make, just going Hydra, and then mixing them up. I mean, the game's already over, basically, but Sziky just excelling here, showing ZVT at a very high level here. And, I mean, Casper just needs to tap out here. So let's talk a little bit about what happened in this group. Dewalt already advancing. He beat Sziky 2-0 in the winners match, and Sziky had already beaten Casper 2-0 earlier, and now in the rematch we did see Casper manage to take 1, but Sziky just on another level I would say.
Yeah, we've got a bit of a fantasy GG timing coming out of Casper here, but you know, as much as I would love to hype this up, there is just absolutely no chance of him holding off against this many Mutalisks. 120 supply against about 70 for our Terran player. He's getting on top of the turrets. There is hardly any defense there. No science vessels, no splash, and this is going to be all she wrote. It's looking like Shiki is going to Russia in about a month. Jumping on top of the armories. And this is going to be the final nail in the coffin. Like, he's run out of nails to put in it. There's no more room on this coffin to put any nails in it.
Yeah, I mean, Casper might hold on here, but it's just because he doesn't want to tap out. There's just too much. Looks like he's even repairing what little Goliaths he has left.
I mean, he's trying. He's really trying. You got to give him that.
Yeah, but this is 10 meters left over, and Goliaths are gonna pop out 5 at a time, and I mean, hopefully, for everyone's sake, we'll see the egg being box selected with a Goliath here.
Zero, please. No, well, valiant effort. I was really surprised to see Casper actually take Shiki down in game number 2 on Tower Cross. That was a really well executed timing, but this time just not enough. Just not good enough.
Oh, what a mine.
Yeah, that was a really good mine, but you would need like 50 more of them, and they would need to hit Mutas as well for that to be... You would need StarCraft 2 mines to basically come back from this. But alas, that is not happening. We do have a few more turrets going up. I'm struggling to find things to say, like positive things to say about this game. That's the last Goliath. No, there's one more. There's 2 more. Yeah, it picks off one by one. As Casper is down to 49 supply against 108 on the side of Shiki. Top left being taken by the Zerg player.
Alright, full production from Sziky heading towards the net, heading towards the rally. You can probably just end the game with pure muta here.
Yeah. As long as he closes things out, I'm happy. Whatever he chooses to do. Yeah. I'd love to be a bit more optimistic, but I just don't see it. He's got 2-2, but so does Shiki on both his mutas, and I think the Hydras as well. Coming in for another attack in the natural. There aren't any turrets to help these Goliaths hold off the Zerg onslaught. Just running out of options. He's running out of anti-air.
Yeah, now you should probably kill these tanks so the Hydras could come in and kill the rest of the everything.
He definitely should. Yeah.
And here we go. It's like the final attack. And
attempt number 37.
no GG, no surprise.
Well, things went just about as we expected in Group B. We did manage to redeem ourselves after those terrible predictions from Group A, where I said that both Terra and Greenwich would make it out. And, well, guess what? Neither did. But Group B, a little bit more expected, or went as we predicted. Dewalt advancing in the first place. And then congratulations to Shiki for taking this second place finish in Group B as well, and securing a ticket to Vladivostok for the top 8 of the tournament and the offline portion. And then, of course, as a recap, Group A, we did have Boa and Ultra also making it out, and we will have 2 more groups coming up tomorrow, 10 best of 3s, likewise Group C and Group D. Any final thoughts, Seriosity?
No, I mean,
closing
Group A,
remarks.
Group A not going as expected, a big upset there, but upsets are always exciting, and we're gonna have a new player Ultra in the run of 8, and here we have Dewalt and Sziky joining Boa and Ultra, and tomorrow we're gonna have 2 other groups to determine who are the final 4 players heading to Russia.
Yep. 10 more best of 3s to get through. I think we'll be starting at the very same time we did today, which was 4:30, I think, PM, CEST. No? Somebody correct me? No, please? No? Just check on Wikipedia, what am I? All right. Look, folks, thanks a lot for tuning in to this very first day of our group stage broadcast for the 2021 Russian Cyber Games. I'm Ziggy. I was here with Seriosity and Zero, pulling our strings behind the scenes. And hopefully we'll see you tomorrow as well. 2 more groups, 10 best of 3s, Group C and Group D. Hope you enjoyed the entire broadcast, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, see you all next time.